California for the Arroyo Seco Saints against the Santa Barbara Foresters in the first game of this back-to-back home series for the Foresters against the Saints this weekend. My name is Steven Baltiero. Alongside me is my partner Anthony Alejandrez, and we'll be on the call for the first away game of the season for the Saints as they travel. Our first broadcast away game for the Saints so far this season, as they are 4-8 overall in the season and 3-6 in CCL play. The Santa Barbara Foresters so far this season have been 10-0 in the CCL and are currently in first place in the CCL, looking to find their way to another championship. Let's go ahead and give you the starting lineups right now for the Saints. Batting first for the Saints is going to be their the second baseman Gabriel Chavez. Batting second and playing shortstop is going to be Drew Cowley. Batting third and playing left field is going to be Tristan Peterson. Batting cleanup, the designated hitter back in the lineup for the Saints from USC, John Thomas. Batting fifth, playing right field from Cal Poly Pomona is going to be Brennan McKenzie. Batting sixth is going to be Cooper Williams and playing first base. Batting seventh is going to be Bryce Gray behind the plate. Batting eighth is going to be Colin Shepard playing third base. Batting ninth from USC as well as going to be playing center field Christian Moya, and on the mound is going to be Cameron Brown for the Saints. On the mound for the Foresters is going to be Caleb Sloan on the mound for the Foresters. They are coming off their fresh win over the SoCal Catch last night. As I mentioned, they are now 10-0 overall on the season. The national anthem just wrapped up here. So we're just about ready for baseball at Santa Barbara for the first away broadcast of the season for the Saints in their 15th season so far overall. Their jersey is going to be gray pants with the navy blue tops and the navy blue caps. For the Foresters, is going to be the blue jerseys and the white pants and the blue hats. Anthony, so far this season, the Saints right now, back-to-back wins. They are 4-8 on the season, and as I mentioned, 3-6 in CCL play. What have you seen in the past two games that kind of gives you hope for the Saints going so far the rest of the season?
They've really gotten off the bat really strong in these last couple games, and it really says something because that's been a real tough point for them here in the early stages of this season, especially pointing to this team they're playing against today, the Santa Barbara Foresters. You know, they went behind early in both of those games and were able to put some runs on the board, but it just was too little too late at that point. But now, these last couple games, you know, they've gotten the bat swinging well early, playing good defense as well.
Well, we're just about ready here for baseball in Santa Barbara, California at Pershing Park as Gabe Chavez steps in and takes the fastball on the outside corner low. 1-0 the count now here on Gabe Chavez. So as we mentioned, the Saints so far off back-to-back wins against the Caneo Oaks and the Ventura County Buccaneers as Gabe Chavez fouls that one to the right-hand side. 1-1 the count now here on Chavez. Gabe Chavez, his 12th plate appearance of the season so far, joined the Saints late this season because Cal State San Bernardino, his school that he attends, was on the quarter system as he fouls this once again down the right field line. So 1-2 remains the count on Chavez.
Saw him come in as a defensive replacement in our last home game just a couple nights ago.
As we mentioned so far, Chavez only 12 at-bats on the season, batting .200. Looking to be the catalyst on the top of this lineup as he swings and misses over that one, and Sloan has his first strikeout of the night. First out here in the top of the first inning. As we mentioned, the Foresters coming in hot on the season. They're 10-0 in CCL play and are currently in first place in the CCL, so looking to capture another championship for the Foresters. As Drew Cowley now steps into the plate for the Saints. The shortstop from Cal Poly Pomona. Cowley so far this season batting .300 as he takes a fastball outside. 1-0 the count now here on Cowley. A little bit of an overcast day here in Santa Barbara, right by the beach, as Cowley swings and misses over that fastball. Now 1-1 the count on Drew Cowley. As we mentioned, the beach is like right to the side of us, so not too far from us, right across the street. Can smell the ocean here from Pershing Park. As Sloan's 1-1 as a fastball change up on the outside corner and nicks it. 1-2 the count now here on Cowley.
And for us, I mean, we haven't really been able to avoid the heat at our home games in Pasadena this season, and today would have been the one day that we really would have been able to miss the sun, whether we were here or there, but here we are on the road.
As Cowley swings and misses over that one, he strikes out now. So Sloan has 2 strikeouts on top of the first inning, and just like that, the Saints are 2 down.
Left fielder, number 8, Tristan Peterson.
That's going to bring him now for the Saints. Left fielder Tristan Peterson. Peterson only 29 at-bats on the season, batting .158 so far through 12 games for the Saints as he digs in. Caleb Sloan so far, 2 strikeouts, the first 2 batters of the game as the curveball's in there for a strike. 0-1 the count now here on Peterson. Peterson has a home run on the season for the Saints as he swings and misses over that firm fastball now. 0-2 the count on Tristan Peterson. Peterson only one of 3 Saints who have a home run on the season, adding with Christian Moya and Nick Lacayo.
That's elite company. Hard to hit a home run at Jackie Robinson Field.
As the fastball is up there now, so 1-2 the count on Peterson. Sloan so far this game has looked in a groove to the top half of the first inning. Striking out Gabe Chavez and Drew Cowley. As the 1-2 pitch now to Peterson is a curveball in the outside corner. That's outside 1-2 the count now here on Peterson. So as we mentioned, only a 158 batting average through the first half of the season. So fastball is outside once again, so a full count now here on Peterson. But a little bit of pop with 1 home run, as you mentioned. Pretty tough to get out of Jackie Robinson Field, especially down the left field line, which is 375, the farthest, deepest part of the ballpark. Sloan's full count pitch is a fastball in there for a strike looking, so he strikes out the side to end the top half of the first inning as we will head to the bottom half of the first inning in the Santa Barbara Foresters' first at-bats. You're listening to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network.
Sponsored by the Eagle Inn.
Welcome back to Pershing Park here in Santa Barbara, California for the first road broadcast of the season of the Arroyo Seco Saints and the Santa Barbara Foresters. As there's no score as we head to the bottom of the first inning, and leading off for the Foresters is going to be their center fielder, Logan Allen. Anthony, go ahead and give us the defensive alignment, though, for the Saints.
So for the Saints tonight, we're going to have Tristan Peterson in left field. Christian Moya is going to be in center. Brennan McKenzie in right. And then Colin Shepard is going to be at third today. At shortstop is going to be Drew Cowley, Gabe Chavez at second, and Cooper Williams first. Bryce Gray is going to be catching today. And, of course, Cameron Brown on the mound.
It's Brown's changeup right there. The 1-0 changeup was a strike. He swung and missed. Allen did. So 1-1 now the count on Logan Allen. As you mentioned, Cameron Brown on the mound for the Saints out of University of Notre Dame. Fastball is outside now, so 2-1 the count on Allen. Had the chance to interview Brown in one of the past games against the Ventura County Buccaneers. The left-hander out of Denver, Colorado, as the fastball is up now, so the count now runs 3-1 against Allen. Had a pretty good outing against the OC Riptide 2 weeks ago. Through three and 2/3 innings. As the 3-1 pitch now to Allen, as he skies that one down the right field line and out of play. So 3-2 count now here on Logan Allen, the center fielder for the Foresters. Logan Allen batting .395 on the season for the Foresters. being the catalyst, has 17 hits so far in the season. That's 3 doubles and 2 triples. So the full count pitch down. It's a fastball, and he blows that one right by him for the first strikeout. So the first 4 outs of this game have been strikeouts, Anthony, by both pitchers, both Caleb Sloan and Cameron Brown.
And we know how much these Santa Barbara Foresters can wreak havoc on the base paths. So definitely good to get that first out here to start this game off for the Saints.
And now stepping in for the Foresters is going to be Brendan Zaragoza. Zaragoza batting .357 on the season. Only has 3 RBIs and has struck out only twice so far this season in 16 plate appearances. So hopefully the 5th out of the inning will not be a strikeout as well. So the fastball's in there for a strike, but Zaragoza's down now 0-1 in the count. So in the top half of the first inning, Caleb Sloan struck out the Saints in order. Cameron Brown leads out the bottom of the first inning by striking out Logan Allen. As Zaragoza grounds one over to the left side, stopping it's going to be the third baseman and thrown over to Williams, but not in time, and it gets past Williams. He's able to recover and all that. Zaragoza advance to second, but a nice stop by the third base for the Saints, Colin Shepard.
Now batting, sponsored by Steve Brown, the right fielder.
So Colin Shepard makes a good stop at third base on the ground ball by Zaragoza, but Cooper Williams unable to dig it out of the dirt, and Zaragoza now has an infield single. Stepping up to the plate now for the Foresters is going to be right fielder Luke Ritter. Luke Ritter batting .282 on the season. Has 7 RBIs, so the first pitch from Brown is a fastball low. 0-0 the count now here on Ritter.
Ritter, one of many Foresters who had a pretty good series at Jackie Robinson Field a week ago.
Like you mentioned, one of many because the Foresters won both of those games on back-to-back nights against the Saints. Have not lost a game in the CCL so far this season, or 10-0. Brown looks over to first as Ritter fouls that one down the right field line and out of play. So 1-1 now the count on Luke Ritter. A little bit of an overcast day or evening now here in Santa Barbara. Not too much sun, which is a rarity in Southern California in the summertime. As Brown gets set now, throws over to Zaragoza. Gets back there, standing up. So 1-1 remains the count on Ritter. Runner at first base, only the bottom of the first inning. No score yet. 1 out. Brown gets set now. And the 1-1 pitch to Ritter. He swings over that changeup now. So a 1-2 count on Luke Ritter with 1 out here in the bottom of the first. Ritter so far this season has struck out 10 times, which is second on the team, only behind Chase Illig, who has struck out 16 times on the season for the Foresters. So the 1-2 pitch is a changeup in there, looking strike 3. Down goes Ritter for the second out here in the bottom of the first inning. So he strikes out for the 11th time this season on the Foresters, and that's going to go ahead and bring up the cleanup hitter for the Foresters, John Jensen.
And you can tell Ritter did not agree with that call there. But as we get to the cleanup hitter here, got to say for game number 1 here, good not having Chase Illig in that spot after the damage that he did last week in Pasadena.
As you mentioned, this Forester team did plenty of damage against the Saints last week, excuse me. As Brown gets set in the first pitch now, is broken bat shouted over to second base as Williams grounds out, finds that ground ball and tags first base with a fine out here in the bottom of the first inning, but not before a broken bat by John Jansen find new lumber. As the Foresters go down there, 1 hit, no runs as we head to the top of the second inning here at Pershing Park, a 0-0 ball game. You're listening to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network.
Back to the beer tent and try a Santa Barbara ale courtesy of
Welcome back to Pershing Park here in Santa Barbara, California, as we pick things up in the the top of the second inning. Leading off for the Saints is going to be John Thomas from USC, as he is set to face Caleb Sloan here in the top of the second. Thomas, being the DH tonight, will not be at first base, which he usually plays on a regular basis. As the first pitch from Sloan is a fastball on the outside corner in there for a strike. So 0-1 the count now here on Thomas. Thomas, one of the best hitters for the Saints so far, actually the best hitter for the Saints. Batting .485 so far in the season, with 43 plate appearances as he fouls that one straight back. So 0-2 quickly on John Thomas here in the top of the second. Sloan looking in the groove early in the game so far. Struck out the first three Saints batters. And is 0-2 quickly now on John Thomas. Sloan so far in the season only has 5 innings pitched on the season, though. He's only faced 22 batters. So not much work so far, but looking good so far in the early going in this one. As the umpire now looks over to the Foresters dugout and kind of gives him the friendly warning to quit the jabbing. As we both know, both of these teams kind of had bad blood, you could say, in the past, as they're going over the last week's game. The Arroyo Seco Saints dugout did not like the Foresters stealing bases on them early in the ballgame when they were up 9-0.
Yeah, a lot of chatter going on in that one as well.
So the fastball is up now, so 1-2 the count on John Thomas. Although, I mean, in retrospect, looking at it now, the Saints only lost that game by 3 runs, so it might have been paid dividends for the Foresters, as a fastball is in there for a strike. So Sloan is now striking out the first 4 batters of the game for the Saints, and he looks on a really easy groove right now, getting early going into this game.
Right fielder, number 18.
Yeah, you're definitely onto something there, though. I mean, they were stealing bases when it was a 10-run lead, but by the end of it, 3-run game, you know. And
it was a very competitive game, so, I mean, you look at the Foresters, you could say it's a little bit unsportsmanlike, but at the same time, it played dividends in the later part of that game. But now stepping up to the plate now for the Saints is going to be Brendan McKenzie, the right fielder for the Saints, out of Cal Poly Pomona. So him and Drew Cali are teammates and very familiar with each other. As the first pitch now from Sloan is a curveball up and that out of the zone. So 1-0 the count now here on McKenzie. But as we mentioned, you know, this Foresters and Saints team, a lot of tense moments between the two teams. And that seems to happen, you know, in baseball when competitors get in the middle of things. The curveball is in there for a strike now. So 1-1 the count on McKenzie. Still no score. Only the top of the second inning, though, so far. In Pershing Park in Santa Barbara, California. The first of 2 games this weekend. As McKenzie fouls that one back here in Santa Barbara. The Saints will be back here tomorrow. So McKenzie, only 31 at-bats so far in the season. Has a 185 batting average. Hit a ball to deep center field in the last game against Ventura County Buccaneers, and center fielder made a great play on it. Keaton Glover for the Buccaneers. Robbed him of a double. Remember that game from Thursday.
Yeah, he got a late break on that ball, yet still was able to cover all that ground in the outfield and take out our banner in center field. But
knocked down our banner. I don't know if it's back up yet, but he did knock down our banner for the game. Look to see if that one's up. So the 1-2 pitch now to McKenzie. He swings and misses over that one. So first 5 batters of the game for the Saints have all stricken out by the hand of Caleb Sloan. So Sloan right now in an absolute groove. 5 strikeouts, 5 batters faced. And now it's going to bring up Cooper Williams, the first baseman for the Saints from New Mexico State University. So Caleb Sloan so far in the early part of this game is in an absolute groove. 5 strikeouts, only 5 batters faced. The fastball is outside there now to Williams. 1-0 the count now here on Cooper Williams. As I mentioned, Sloan only has 5 innings pitched on the season, but looks fairly good tonight as the second fastball is outside once again. So 2-0 the count now here on Cooper Williams. Part of the reason why this Santa Barbara Foresters team is 10-0 on the season. A lot of depth in that pitching rotation.
Not a lot this team doesn't do well.
Fastball just misses outside, so 3-0 the count now here on Cooper Williams. So Sloan on the verge of not striking out the first batter of the first Saint, or excuse me, the Saints have their first batter on base that is not striking out. The 3-0 pitch now to Cooper Williams is a fastball on the outside corner, and that one does catch the plate. So 3-1 the count now here on Williams. Williams gets set. The 3-1 pitch now from Sloan is a fastball in the inside corner, and that one misses. And Sloan does not strike out a Saint for the first time in this ball game, as Williams walks there on 5 pitches. And now it's going to bring up the catcher from Notre Dame, Bryce Gray, with 2 outs here in the top of the second inning.
A beer coupon courtesy of our friends at Pure Order Brewing Company. The catcher, number 5, Bryce Gray.
So Bryce Gray now, his teammate on the mound from University of Notre Dame, Cameron Brown. So the two must be very familiar with each other, both playing this past season for the Fighting Irish. Bryce Gray only 12 at-bats on the season, batting .083 so far. That's a fastball from Sloan is inside there, ball 1 on Bryce Gray.
Bryce Gray got the start in that first game against Santa Barbara last week, and in a game where there was a lot of defensive mistakes on both sides, Bryce Gray was really one of the bright spots of that game defensively.
Sloan gets set now. The 1-0 pitch to Gray as he grounds that one down the third base line and out of play. So 1 run now the count on Bryce Gray. Still no score in the top of the second inning here at Pershing Park in Santa Barbara, California. Caleb Sloan, the pitcher for the Foresters, has 5 strikeouts through 1 2/3 innings on the season, or on this game. Now Sloan gets set now here. Curveball in there for a strike, so 1-2 now the count on the catcher from Notre Dame and Bryce Gray. Bryce Gray, originally from Illinois, so a Midwest kid by roots. So Williams leads him first. Sloan now, the 1-2 pitch to Gray is a fastball outside in the dirt. 2-2 now the count on Bryce Gray. As we mentioned, the Saints now are 3-6 on the year, are good for 5th place in the CCL standings. The Santa Barbara Foresters are 10-0 in the CCL, so they are in first place right now in the CCL, and the OC Riptide are 7-3 so far, which is good enough for second place. As Sloan strikes out Gray there on a curveball in the dirt. So Caleb Sloan now has 6 strikeouts through 2 innings, is in an absolute groove. Has no runs, 1 man on base, no hits. As we head to the top of the 3rd inning here at Pershing Park, no score still. You're listening to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network. We pick things up in the bottom of the second inning here at Pershing Park. Still no score in this game between the Arroyo Seco Saints and the Santa Barbara Foresters. Stepping up to the plate now for the Foresters is going to be Michael Newslifter, I believe that's how you pronounce his name.
New Stifter.
New Stifter.
Interesting.
That was another tongue twister there.
Yep, the Foresters have a lot of those.
A lot of tongue twisters on this CCL roster as he drives that one to deep center field, going back on its Moya at the track. He's going to make the catch in front of the wall there for the first out here in the bottom of the second inning. So one pitch, one out for Cameron Brown here in the bottom of the second inning. That's going to go ahead and bring up Utah Jones, the first baseman for the Foresters.
Number 2, Utah Jones.
You talk about names, and you look at Utah Jones, another classic name on this Foresters roster. So Cameron Brown so far in a groove as well. Maybe not as much as Caleb Sloan with 6 strikeouts, but has been solid through 1 1/3 innings for the Saints. As the fastball is in there, just high and out inside. 1-0 the count now here on Jones. Jones grounds that one over the third base to Shepard. He throws it on the first base to Williams for the second out here in the bottom of the second inning. So 3 pitches and 2 outs here for Cameron Jones here in the bottom of the second inning, pitching pretty efficient so far in the early part of this ball game.
Yeah, and good play there by Colin Shepard. Good timely play, and we've seen him do a lot of good stuff in the infield here this season. We've seen him move around just a little bit. Him at third today.
That's going to go ahead and bring up the left fielder for the Foresters and Connor Davis. So Connor Davis so far this season as the fastball is in there, a strike for Cameron Jones. From Cameron Brown. 0 on the count now here on Connor Davis. The second pitch there from Brown is a fastball in the outside corner, so 1-1 now the count on Connor Davis. There's no stats on Davis so far for the Foresters, so you question whether or not he has played that many games so far for the Foresters, or if he barely joined them. So we will see what he does here today. And the curveball is in there as he fouls that one right off the catcher's mitt now. So 1-2 the count on Connor Davis, the left fielder for the Foresters.
Yeah, I see a few names on this roster that don't remember the names being called when they were visiting us in Pasadena last week.
It's good to mention, too, in the CCL and overall in summer baseball that rosters often fluctuate with players coming in and coming out. Players on our team have actually left. Alex LaForestier is no longer with the Saints, so he is no longer here. As the fastball is up and just misses, though. 2-2 the count now here on Connor Davis. As I mentioned, the third baseman for the Saints, Alex LaForestier, is no longer with the team, so he is left. And also Kyle Winkler was injured. Was hoping to join the Saints later in the season, but just could not risk it, so he is not going to be on the roster going forward as Davis steps out there, catches his breath, so step back in. So 2 outs here in the bottom of the second inning, still no score in the ball game. At the 2-2 pitch is drilled down the left field line, and that one is foul, but that one he did not miss that one by much in Connor Davis. As you heard some oohs from the crowd as soon as that one was hit, we almost lost track of it. But it one-hopped the fence down the 310 sign here at Pershing Park. The dimensions in the outfield for Pershing Park: 310 down the left field line, 380 to left center, and 390 to dead center, 365 in the right center field corner and down the right field line. We're not really sure, but I would assume about 305 as Cameron Brown strikes out Connor Davis here for the third out in the bottom of the second inning. So no hits, no runs. We will head to the top of the third inning here at Pershing Park with still no score. You're listening to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network.
Will our young contestants please make their way out to the third base line?
Welcome back here to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network. As we pick things up here in the top of the third inning, my name is Steven Baltiera. Alongside me is my partner, Anthony Alejandrez. As still no score between the Santa Barbara Foresters and the Arroyo Seco Saints. Just had a little bit of a toddler or a kid race here down the third base line. It's a little bit of fun happening here at Pershing Park in between innings. Stepping up to the plate now is going to be Colin Shepard, the third baseman for the Saints. As the first pitch is a fastball in there for a strike from Sloan. 0-1 now the count on Shepard. So Sloan so far in a groove in this game has 6 strikeouts through 2 innings. The Saints have not yet made an out by any other way besides the strikeout, as the fastball is low there. So 1-1 the count here on Colin Shepard. Colin Shepard, 51 at-bats on the season, batting 175. His ball is in the dirt there, so 2-1 the count now here on Shepard.
Seen him do a lot of movement up and down the lineup here since the start of the season. We've seen him lead off quite a bit, and we've seen him, on days like this, in the 8 or 9 spot as well.
It's a good point you make there, Anthony. We've seen him and Drew Cowley kind of put back-to-back 1-2 in the top of the lineup as Shepard drives that one down the left field line, and that's a fair ball down the left field line. So he's going to go ahead and round first, head for second. And he's in there with the stand-up double and lead off the top of the third inning for the Saints. So the Saints finally get their first hit of the ball game here in the top of the third inning. And Sloan's now doesn't have a strikeout.
Yeah, that one just kind of dropped in there right by the foul line there. And Shepard got good speed, able to make that a double. Great way to get the first hit of the game here for the Saints.
So Shepard leads off the top of the third inning with a double. And that's going to go ahead and make way for Christian Moya, the center fielder, for the Arroyo Seco Saints. So as we mentioned, Sloan had 6 strikeouts so far in this ball game, but Shepard leads off the top of the third with a double. As Moya squares around a bunt, but he fouls that one back on the bunt. So 0-1 now the count on Christian Moya. Moya from West Covina, California, the product of South Hills High School, and now attends the University of Southern California. Christian Moya, one of 3 Saints, as we mentioned earlier with Tristan Peterson, who has a home run on the season. He hit his home run against the San Luis Obispo Blues a couple of Sundays ago in that win against them 14-6. So 0-1 count now here on Moya. As Sloan in a little bit of trouble in the early going in the top of the third inning. He gets set. Shepard, a little modest lead from second base. Not too far as Moya squares around a bunt once again. He lays it down the third base line, but that's foul once again. So 0-2 the count now here on Moya. We'll have to wait and see if Moya squares around a bunt on the 0-2 pitch. Head coach Sean Bueller, in a desperate situation, probably wants to get that runner over to third base and get him in any way they can, especially with the groove that Sloan's in so far in this game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you talked about that zone in the first couple innings, all strikeouts, and now to have a runner there in scoring position, definitely want to give them every opportunity here.
So 0-2 the count now here on Moya. He does not square around a bunt, so the fastball is in there, and he fouls that one down the right field line out of play. So 0-2 remains the count on Moya. Christian Moya, as I mentioned, the product of South Hills High School. Played for the San Gabriel Valley Arsenal in his high school days, a pretty well-known travel baseball team in the high school ranks across the country. Sloan gets set now, looks over to Shepard, the 0-2 pitch, and he swings and misses over that one. Moya does for the first out here in the top of the third. So every single out so far by the Saints has come from strikeout by Sloan, and that is his 7th K only through 2 1/3 innings.
Absolutely dealing so far here in these first few innings.
And that's going to be at the top of the lineup now for the Saints, and Gabe Chavez. You could probably guess what he did in his first at-bat. Anthony, what was it?
Strikeout.
So 0 for 1 on that afternoon so far for Gabe Chavez, striking out in the first at-bat. So key moment right now for the Saints with Shepard leading from second base. Fairly modest lead once again as he fouls that one back. So 0-1 the count now here on Chavez. And one thing I'm seeing from Sloan in the early part of this ballgame is getting ahead early on batters and staying ahead later in the account. So Sloan right now in a groove as Chavez digs in once again with the high stirrups he has on. Looks over to Shepard at second. Looks again. As the 0-1 pitch now is driven down the right field line, and that one might be a fair ball. It is barely foul, so just fouled down the right field line, and he missed his first RBI of the season. Excuse me, his second RBI of the season. Chavez did in the first run of this ball game by inches.
What a shame. Great contact on that one.
Just fouled down the right field line, so an 0-2 count now here on Chavez, and Shepard will have to scamper back to second base. So the Saints were on the verge of scoring their first run of the ball game. However, the ball was just fouled down the right field line. So 0-2 the count now here on the leadoff hitter from Cal State San Bernardino. Sloan gets set now. The 0-2 pitch to Chavez is a fastball up. So 1-2 count now here on Gabe Chavez. Gabe Chavez, a smaller in stature kind of guy, but one of those players we like to call a scrapper. Sloan looks over. The 1-2 pitch is now popped up down the first base line and camped under as the first baseman Utah Jones for the second out here in the top of the third inning. So after the leadoff double by Colin Shepard, Christian Moya strikes out and Gabe Chavez fouls out down the first base line.
The shortstop, number 21, Drew.
That's going to go ahead and bring out the shortstop for the Saints, Drew Cowley from Cal Poly Pomona, and once again he struck out in his last at-bat, so not too much going for the Saints in the early part of this game. However, Gabe Chavez was the first out of the ball game by the Saints that was not a strikeout, so a little bit of productive in inches.
Yep, and as we go through this lineup for the second time, we're going to be saying they struck out the last time up quite a bit.
That's the first pitch now to Cowley is a fastball outside, so 1-0 the count on Drew Cowley. So 2 outs here in the top of the third inning, still no score as Colin Shepard leads from second base on his leadoff double. And Drew Cowley at the plate, Caleb Sloan on the mound as he fakes the pick over to second base and back to the bag of Shepard. So 1-0 count here on Drew Cowley. Shepard, fairly modest lead from second base. Caleb Sloan, 7 strikeouts here through 2 2/3 innings. He gets set, looks over to Shepard at second. The 1-0 pitch now is fouled down the left field line and out of play. So 1-1 count now here on Drew Cowley.
Well, for as easy as things looked for Caleb Sloan in the first inning, at the very least, they are making him work really hard in this inning here.
As we mentioned, Cowley batting .300 on the season, has 4 doubles on the season, so one of the leaders in extra base hits for the Saints so far this season. The fastball is just outside and misses, so 2 on the count now here on Drew Cowley with 2 outs in the top of the third inning. Drew Cowley from Upland, California. So a local kid for the Saints. Goes to Cal Poly Pomona, as I mentioned. As does the man batting 3rd or 5th in this lineup in Brendan McKenzie. The 2-1 pitch is swung over and missed, so 2-2 count now here on Drew Cowley. The deuces are wild in the top of the third inning. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Runner at second base and Colin Shepard. And the Saints are on the verge of stranding Shepard after that leadoff double. As Sloan gets set, the 2-2 pitch now to Cowley is a fastball and it just misses inside, so he runs the count full now on Cowley.
Go, Cal.
As we mentioned, a little bit of overcast day here in Santa Barbara, California, so don't expect too much sunlight coming through, especially in the later part of this ball game. We do expect a lot of chilly nights here, so if you didn't bring your sweater like myself, you might be freezing for the rest of the game. As Cowley fouls that one down the left field line and once again out of play, so the count remains full on Drew Cowley. Pretty good turnout here at Pershing Park. A lot of fans came out to watch the Foresters against the Arroyo Seco Saints.
And nothing gets people out to the ballpark more than a winning ball club, and 10-0, I'd say that they got that.
On beer on tap, which the Foresters do have behind us, which is a rarity at a Summer League baseball game, as one of our interns Smiles over me. The fastball now is grounded by Callie to second base. Got it and thrown over to first base. Is going to be the second baseman for the Foresters, Ryan Cash, for the final out in the top of the third inning. So 1 hit, 1 runner left on base. No runs here in the top of the third inning as we will head to the bottom of the third inning at Pershing Park. Still no score. You're listening to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network. Welcome back here to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network as we pick things up in the bottom of the third inning here at Pershing Park. Still no score between the Saints and Foresters.
The third baseman, number 12, Easton.
As Cameron Jones heads out for his third inning of work now for the Saints. And now batting for the Foresters is going to be the third baseman, Easton Morrell. As you mentioned, Anthony, a guy we haven't seen in the past in this Foresters lineup, probably a new guy, as they mentioned. As the first pitch now from Jones, his fastball in there for a strike, 0-1 to count.
Yeah, Morrell, he's only appeared in 2 games so far, so got to imagine he's probably fairly new to this lineup. Batting .200 so far, but that's only through 6 plate appearances, so we will see a little more here.
As the fastball just misses now, so 1-1 to count here on Morrell. As you mentioned, batting .200 on the season. As Cameron Brown gets set. And the 1-1 pitch now is fouled back by Easton Morrell. Cameron Jones pitching pretty good so far in the early part of this ball game. Only giving up 1 hit so far through 2 innings of work. So the 1-2 pitch now to Morrell. Curveball just misses outside, so 2-2 now the count on Easton Morrell. Cameron Jones been one of the stable forces for the Arroyo Seco Saints Ball Club. The fastball is up, and he gets Morrell swinging there for the first out here in the bottom of the third inning. So Cameron Jones in a groove as well as Caleb Sloan, and they're matching each other right now in a little bit of a pitcher's duel. And now it's going to bring up Ryan Crash now, the second baseman for the Foresters.
Thanks to Endless Summer Bar and Cafe. The second baseman, number 5,
Ryan Cash, one of the Saints, or excuse me, one of the Foresters, who had a really big series in Pasadena. And right now, I mean, he's got a .394 batting average through 9 games on the season, so he's played very well.
It's the first fastball to Cash is up and out of the zone, so 1-0 the count there on Ryan Cash. And we apologize if you're hearing a little bit of the PA in the background of the audio here on the stream. He's a little bit static, I guess you might want to call it, as an understatement. The fastball is inside and low, so 2-0 the count here on Ryan Cash. I have to admit it's a little bit annoying to hear that on a regular basis, but nonetheless, still doesn't get much better than this. Santa Barbara, Foresters, Saints baseball, College Summer League baseball at that. As the count now here is 3-0 here on Ryan Cash. I think it's important to mention, too, the atmosphere here at Pershing Park, because a lot of fans have come to show up and support their Foresters baseball team. Ryan Cash squares around the bunt, but pulls it back now, and he will walk on 4 pitches after Cameron Brown struck out Morel for the first out of the inning.
Now batting.
Yep, and we got a setup here of a lot of small bleacher stands, you know, kind of close up against where even where we're broadcasting at. So a lot more tight quarters here at Pershing Park.
That's going to bring the top of the lineup now for the Foresters and Logan Allen, who struck out in his last at-bat to lead off the game for the Foresters. As Cameron Brown gets set, looks over to Cash at first, and the first fastball to Allen is a fastball in there for a strike, so 0-1 the count here on Logan Allen.
One of the most reliable bats in their lineup, too, batting .395, and he has played in all their games so far this season, so off to a great start.
As Cameron Brown gets set now and throws over to Cash at first base, who scampers back to the bag safely. So 1 out here in the bottom of the 3rd inning, 0-1 to count on Logan Allen. Still no score in the ball game between the Saints and Foresters. As we mentioned, the Santa Barbara Foresters are 10-0 in the CCL. In the Arroyo Seco Saints are 3-6 so far in the CCL, but are coming off 2 straight wins against the Conejo Oaks and the Ventura County Buccaneers. As Allen fouls that one down the right field line by our Saints dugout, but Cooper Williams unable to get there, so 0-2 the count here on Logan Allen. So Cameron Brown once again ready to go back to work before the batter even steps in the batter's box, but 0-2 the count on Logan Allen, who struck out in his last at-bat with Ryan Cash leading from first base. Cash takes off for second. Gray throws over, and that throw is not in time as Cash will be in there safely with the stolen base. So the pitch from Cameron Brown was outside for a ball, so 1-2 the count on Logan Allen as Ryan Cash steals second base, and Bryce Gray was not happy with the call at second as he felt the throw was there in time. As Cash had a pretty good jump on that stolen base. The curveball is now in the dirt, so 2-2 now the count on Allen. After 2 straight balls from Cameron Brown, Ryan Cash leads from second base after Cameron Brown walked Ryan Cash on 4 pitches. So with 1 out here in the bottom of the 3rd inning, Cameron Brown in a little bit of a jam.
And that's just the first stolen base of the game, and it's the 3rd inning, which is kind of saying something against the Foresters.
As a curveball in the dirt gets away from Bryce Gray there. He cannot find the ball as Ryan Cash rounds third base, but scampers back to the bag. So the count runs full, and now Ryan Cash is 90 feet away from scoring the first run of the ball game.
Yeah, the Foresters, a big base-stealing team, and we saw it in Pasadena. I mean, they had, I believe it was 8 stolen bases before the end of the 3rd inning in one of those games they played against the Saints. And so for them to be at this point now and only have just these first couple to show for, I think they'll take that so far.
So the full count pitch is a fastball, and it just misses. So after starting the count 0-2, Logan Allen works a walk out of that one. And now we have runners at the corners with only 1 out here in the bottom of the 3rd inning, as that's going to draw a visit from the pitching coach for the Arroyo Seco Saints, Matthew Troop. As Sean Bueller would come and talk to the home plate umpire.
Don't forget to come out to the ballpark tomorrow afternoon.
Talk about the dimensions down the right field line as the pitching coach for the Saints will talk to Cameron Brown on the mound, try to settle him down. And stepping up to the plate for the Foresters is going to be their shortstop, Brandon Zaragoza, who hit an infield single in his last at-bat. The nice play by Colin Shepard was unable to make the throw in time down the first base. So 1 out here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Still no score in the ball game. Ryan Cash at third base and Logan Allen at first. Both men walked in this inning. Cash stole second base and advanced to third on the wild pitch by Cameron Brown.
Sponsored by Restaurant Open. The shortstop, number 9, Brandon Zaragoza.
And I've never seen a player sponsored by a restaurant be called that in his introductions of a ball game, so it's a first. As Brandon Zaragoza steps to the plate now for the Foresters.
A lot of interesting quirks to the games here in Santa Barbara.
That is very true. As the umpire tells Cameron Brown to hold up as he's trying to get the tempo up and going. So runners at the corners now at the bottom of the third inning. Still no score, only one out. And Zaragoza at the plate. Cameron Brown in a little bit of a jam for the Saints as he gets set. And the first pitch to Zaragoza is a curveball in the dirt, and it misses. So 1-0 the count on Zaragoza. So Brown struck out the first batter of the inning. And Easton Morrell looked like he was cruising but after that he had a 4-pitch walk to Ryan Cash. Had an 0-2 count on Logan Allen, but Allen was able to work a walk out of that one. So Brown trying to persevere right now through this inning as Zaragoza squares around a bunt, but pulls it back at the last second and takes the ball. So 2-0 the count here on Zaragoza.
Yeah, these last couple at-bats now, Cam Brown has just had some trouble finding the strike zone here.
So 2-0 the count here on Zaragoza, the shortstop for the Foresters. As the 2-0 pitch is a fastball in there for a strike, and he swing and miss. So 2-1 the count on Zaragoza. So after 4 straight balls from Cameron Brown, he finally gets a strike in there against Zaragoza.
Zaragoza, not somebody we got a chance to take a look at when they faced the Saints in Pasadena last week. Newer to the lineup here. This is only the 5th game he's appeared in.
Zaragoza squares around a bunt and misses it, so a 2-2 count now here on Zaragoza as he missed the bunt on that pitch.
.357 batting average, though, through those first 4 games that he's played here with the Foresters.
As we're starting to see bodies move over there in the Saints bullpen as they're getting people up and going. So the 2-2 count here is Zaragoza, the pitch, as he skies that one down the right field line. Williams unable to get there as he runs out of room, so 2-2 remains the count on Zaragoza. With only 1 out here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Runners at the corners for the Foresters, so they are threatening to score the first run of this ball game. The lights now turn on here at Pershing Park as nightfall is starting to make its way here in Santa Barbara, California. A little bit of an overcast day, so no sun on this beautiful summer afternoon. As taking off is going to be Allen, and that ball is going to squeeze through the second base hole and score the first run of the ball game in Cash as Allen heads for third base after rounding second. So Zaragoza with an RBI single to right field, and that scores the first run of the ball game for the Foresters.
Yeah, that one just bounced right through the middle. Didn't look like anybody was really close enough to make a play there, but nonetheless, I mean, you see the speed of these Foresters, and just like that, now we've got a run around third and a run scored.
So Logan Allen still in second base, kind of put Gabe Chavez, the second baseman for the Saints, out of position, and it just kind of played it perfect for Zaragoza to slap that ball down the second base way. As the first pitch now to Luke Ritter is a fastball up and out of the zone, so 1-0 the count on Luke Ritter. So once again, runners at the corners now. The Foresters lead the Saints 1-0 here in the bottom of the 3rd inning, and a 1-0 count on Luke Ritter. Luke Ritter struck out in his last at-bat for the Foresters. As Cameron Brown gets set, looks over to Zaragoza as the curveball is in there for a strike, so 1-1 the count now on Ritter. So Zaragoza drives in the first run of the ball game for the Foresters on the RBI single to right field. As Logan Allen now is standing 90 feet away from scoring the second run of the ball game for the Foresters. Brown gets set, and now Zaragoza takes off for second base on the swing and miss now from Ritter, and that would draw no throw from Bryce Gray as Zaragoza now the stolen base. So Ritter's at second and third with only 1 out. And the count is 1-2 on Luke Ritter. Bryce Gray probably smartly held the ball and ate it there as Logan Allen was leading from third base and ready to score on the throw to second. So the 1-2 pitch now is a ground ball back to Brown. A shot ricochets off his glove to Cowley as he throws that one to third base and tags out Zaragoza at third. So the runner scores on that play in Logan Allen. But Drew Cowley with the heads-up play thrown over to Colin Shepard at third base and getting Zaragoza for the second out here in the bottom of the 3rd inning.
Very great play there. Had the easy out at first, but knew he had just enough time to make that play at third. And gets out the lead runner.
So a heads-up play by Cowley gets the lead runner at third base, but The Foresters scored their second run of the ball game, and now it's a 2-0 ball game in the bottom of the third inning. That's going to go ahead and make way for the designated hitter for the Foresters, and John Jensen, who hit a ground ball to first base in his last at-bat. So he's 0 for 1 so far on the night. As now on first base is going to be Luke Ritter on the fielder's choice. So Cameron Brown gets set now, and the pitch is a curveball on the outside corner in there for a strike. So 0-2 the count on Jensen. Excuse me, 0-1 the count on Jensen. So the 1-1 pitch is a fastball fouled straight back and off the mask of Bryce Gray. So So 1-2 the count now here on Jensen, as 2 runs have plated across the plate for the Foresters, and they have a 2 lead over the Saints. As a curveball swinging and missing by Jensen for the third out here in the bottom of the third inning. So 1 runner left on base on 2 hits, but 2 runs come across to score for the Foresters. And at the end of 3, the Santa Barbara Foresters lead the Arroyo Seco Saints 2-0. You're listening to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network.
Number 8, Tristan Peterson.
Welcome back to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network as we pick things up in the top of the 4th inning. The Santa Barbara Foresters pushed across 2 runs in the bottom of the 3rd inning, so now they have a 2-0 lead over the Saints. And now stepping into the plate now for the Saints is going to be Brendan McKenzie, or excuse me, Tristan Peterson, the left fielder, who struck out looking in his last at-bat. First pitch from Sloan is a curveball swing and miss by Peterson, so 0-1 the count on Tristan Peterson. Sloan so far been in the groove for the Foresters on the mound, as he has 7 strikeouts through 3 innings of work. As the second pitch there is a fastball low and outside, so 1-1 the count here on Tristan Peterson. As we mentioned in the first inning, Tristan Peterson has 1 home run on the season for the Saints. As a changeup swing and missing by Peterson there, so 1-2 the count. So 1-2 the count here on Tristan Peterson, as Caleb Sloan once again is ahead in the count on Peterson. Curveball just misses up there, so 2-2 the count here on Peterson.
Last inning, we finally saw some contact being made here by the Arroyo Seco Saints. Just a lot of trouble those first couple of innings. Caleb Sloan absolutely dealing, and that didn't really change last inning, but they were at least able to make some contact for the first time in this game.
Able to get a leadoff double in the last inning from Colin Shepard, but when we're unable to push him across. So 2-2 remains the count here on Peterson as a fastball is up and it goes over the catcher's glove and hits the backstop here. So a full count here on Peterson. Tristan Peterson has 2 singles so far on the year. Has 1 RBI and has been walked 7 times this season as he grounds that one down the third base line and out of play. So Arroyo Seco trying to get things back on track in the CCL after losing 6 straight games in the previous week. Beat the Caneo Oaks in a thriller on Wednesday night. That's the full count pitch, and Peterson lines out one into left field. Caught by the shortstop as our view was kind of obstructed by the umpire, but the shortstop for the Foresters, Brandon Zaragoza, goes up and leaps and gets that ball for the first out here in the top of the 4th inning.
Ball really carrying. Ideally, it would have been a hit, you know. It looked like it was headed that way, but just great play defensively there by Zaragoza.
And as you mentioned earlier in this ball game, this Foresters lineup, or this Foresters team, really has no weak spots, as you're seeing them on the defensive side of things, the pitching side of things, and we know what they can do on the offensive side of things as well. So now stepping into play is going to be John Thomas, the designated hitter for the Saints, as the first pitch is a fastball up. So 1-0 the count on Thomas. As we mentioned, it's a 2-0 lead for the Foresters so far in the top of the 4th inning after scoring 2 runs in the bottom of the 3rd inning. As Sloan's second pitch to Thomas is a fastball in there for a strike, so 1-1 the count on John Thomas. John Thomas, one of the better hitters for this Saints lineup, is batting .485 on the season, which leads the team in batting average. The fastball's in there in the dirt, so 2-1 the count here on Thomas. He has 2 doubles so far in the season and 16 total hits with 14 singles, so not a lot of power shown by Thomas, but either way getting on base. So fastball's in there for a strike, and he skies that one out to center field, shallow center field at that. And coming in is going to be the center fielder, the shortstop Zaragoza once again leaping over the back shoulder and making another tremendous play for the Foresters.
Right fielder.
Boy, center fielder there covering a lot of ground there to try and track that one down.
And now stepping up to the plate with the Saints for 2 outs here in the top of the 4th inning is going to be Brendan McKenzie, the right fielder for the Saints, as he struck out in his last at-bat, which is a common theme in this ball game for the Saints, the way Caleb Sloan has been pitching to the better part of 4 innings. He fouls that one, pops that one right out of play, and the catcher for the Foresters right underneath it, loses track of it, but stays with it, is going to be Michael Newslift for the final out here in the top of the 4th inning. So no runs, no hits, no men left on base. We'll head to the bottom of the 4th inning here. 2-0 lead for the Santa Barbara Foresters.
See if it's possible to, can you adjust? Hold on.
Welcome back to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network, as we're now in the bottom of the 4th inning here at Pershing Park in Santa Barbara, California. And the Santa Barbara Foresters have a 2-0 lead over the Arroyo Seco Saints. And now stepping under the plate for the Foresters is going to be Michael Newslifter. Another tongue twister of a name, as the curveball is in there for a strike from Cameron Brown.
Just had that great defensive play to end the last inning. And I kind of think it kind of pointed out a little bit, too, of a point we made, just an observation we saw when we first got here.
As he skies that one down the right field line, running out of room is going to be the Saints out. Right fielder, second baseman Gabe Chavez, and first baseman Cooper Williams, and it's going to fall in there gracefully. But 0-2 the count now here on Newslifter.
Yeah, a couple of these fly balls, I mean, we just kind of made the observation that with the gray skies today, we're losing that ball really easily once it gets up in the air. And you could see there for Newstifter on that last play that he made defensively, he really lost it up in the air there for quite a while, was able to recover and make that play for the third out. But I think we're all kind of having a little bit of trouble with that tonight.
As you mentioned, yeah, this gray sky is kind of making it hard for everybody looking at the ball as he lines that one down the third base line inside the line. So he rounds first base, heads for second, and Newstift is going to have a stand-up double to lead off the bottom of the fourth inning here for the Foresters. So he lines that one. Newstifter lines that one down the left field line and just inside the foul line for a double, and that's going to bring up the first baseman for the Foresters in Utah Jones. So the Foresters picking things up right where they left off in the bottom of the third inning, scoring 2 runs. And nobody out here in the bottom of the fourth inning with the leadoff double by Newstifter. Utah Jones in his last at-bat, grounded to third base. So he's 0 for 1 on the afternoon. As Cameron Jones gets set, looks over to Newstifter at second base, and a fastball is just low, so 1-0 the count on Utah Jones. We're starting to see a little bit of action in the Saints bullpen as the pitching coach for the Saints gives a signal to the dugout that the pitcher is hot in the bullpen and ready to go. He lines that one to second base, and Chavez unable to come up with it as it rolls into right field. Newstifter rounding around third base, heading home. Grace tags him out at home base for the first out here in the bottom of the fourth inning. So Gabe Chavez unable to come up with that soft liner as it rolls into right field. Chavez stays with it, though, and throws it to Gray as Newstifter is tagged out at home by Bryce Gray. Heading to second base is going to be the Utah Jones, the first baseman on that error by Chavez. And head coach Sean Buell is going to head out to look at Gabe Chavez, who looks shaken up on that play.
Yeah, great recovery there by Chavez, but you could tell on the first play there, didn't make a very clean play on the ball. It just kind of took a bounce, and it might have bounced off him, and that may be what they were taking a look for.
So we'll see what they rule that as either an infield single or an error on Chavez, but either way, Chavez with the heads-up play to stay with that and throw out Newstifter at home. So 1 out here in the bottom of the fourth inning. That's going to bring up Connor Davis, who struck out in his last at-bat, with Utah Jones leading off from second base as the curveball gets away from Bryce Gray, and now Jones is standing at third base with 1 out here in the bottom of the fourth. So to go ahead and clear that up, Michael Newstifter leads off the bottom of the fourth inning with a double. Utah Jones hits a soft liner to Gabe Chavez, the second baseman, unable to come up with it, but stays with it and throws out Newstifter, who's trying to steal home. Utah Jones advanced to second base, and now he's at third base on the wild pitch by Cameron Davis. As Connor Davis fouls that one back now, so 1-1 the count on Connor Davis. Score still 2-0 here in the bottom of the fourth inning.
Let's go, Connor.
With only 1 out. Runner 90 feet away from third base. Cameron Brown. The fastball blows it by Davis. So 1-2 the count now here on Connor Davis. As we mentioned, Connor Davis, one of those guys who has not been a part of this Foresters lineup that long. No stats on him so far this season. As Brown gets set, the 1-2 pitch now is a fastball, and it's grounded over to shortstop and Cali, and he bobbles the ball. So Utah Jones is going to score from third, and Connor Davis is going to be safe on first with an error by Cali. So a little bit of sloppy play so far by the Saints infield in the bottom of the fourth inning.
Yeah, plenty of time to make that play there for Cali. Just, I don't know if he got in his head a little bit about where he was going to end up throwing that ball, but just ended up making a mistake there that cost them easy out at first.
So the Foresters now lead the Saints 3-0 here in the bottom of the fourth inning, and stepping up to the plate is going to be Easton Morrell, the third baseman for the Foresters, as he takes a strike in there from Cameron Brown. 0-1 the count on Morrell. So Drew Cowley with the air at shortstop allows Connor Davis to be safe at first. And Cameron Brown now, the 0-1 pitch to Morrell is a curveball and swing and missing by Morrell. So 0-2 quickly now the count on Morrell. If you missed it so far in this inning, Michael Newstifter led the inning off with a double down the left field line. Utah Jones hit a soft liner to Chavez, who was unable to come up with it, but throws out Newstifter at home. Utah Jones then advanced to third base on the wild pitch by Brown, as a fastball is up and outside there to Easton Morrell. So 1-2 the count on Morrell. After that, Connor Davis grounded out to shortstop, but Cowley was unable to come up with the ground ball, and that scores Utah Jones from third base. And now we have one out here in the bottom of the fourth inning with Connor Davis leading from first base. So the 1-2 pitch now is foul down the right field line and out of play. Count remains 1-2. As we mentioned, Easton Morrell batting 200 on the season. Probably lower than that now with the strikeout in the first inning. Only has 6 at-bats so far this season. As a fastball just misses outside there, so 2-2 now the count on Morrell. So Cameron Brown trying to work through the jam here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Foresters lead the Saints 3-0 with only one out, and Connor Davis leading from first base. Morrell grounds that one back to Brown, throws it over to Cowley at second, throws it back to first base to Williams for the double play, and the end of the inning here in the bottom of the fourth inning. But not before the Foresters tack on another run to lead the Arroyo Seco Saints 3-0. You're listening to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network. Welcome back to Pershing Park here in Santa Barbara, California. My name is Steven Baltiera. Alongside me is my partner, Anthony Alejandrez, and we are on the call for this game. As we pick things up here in the top of the fifth inning, the Santa Barbara Foresters lead the Arroyo Seco Saints 3-0 here, as Cooper Williams steps up to the plate now for the Saints. And on the mound for the Foresters is going to be Caleb Sloan as he nails Williams with the first pitch there on the side of the hip. And just like that, Saints have a base runner here in the early part of the top of the fifth.
Catcher, number 5, Bryce Gray.
In between innings, we had another child moment where they were running around the bases. All the children came out and running on the bases. So it's good to see a lot of family fun here at Pershing Park. The Foresters put on a pretty good show as far as the college baseball summer league goes. Stepping up to the plate now for the Saints is going to be Bryce Gray, the catcher, as he drills that one down the left field line. That's going to go ahead and roll to the wall. Cooper Williams rounds second base and heads for third base. And Bryce Gray has a stand-up double now. So runners at second and third with nobody out in the top of the fifth inning. And the Saints are now threatening here in the early part with 2 pitches only thrown.
Yeah, great hit there by Bryce Gray, and to go along with a great play he made defensively to save a run in the last inning. So Bryce Gray putting in work here today.
As Bryce Gray drilled that one down the left field line. That's his first hit of the afternoon as he struck out in his first at-bat. And now it's going to break way for the second baseman, the third baseman for the Saints in College Shepard. Just a quick reminder, we're going to be joined by Aaron Milam in the bottom half of the fifth inning, the general manager for the Saints. He will join us in the bottom half of this inning to talk about the Saints and where this program has come, and where it's going as well, and how far it's come since this point. He will talk about all those things and all the different alumni that have walked through this Arroyo Seco Saints program and where they are now. Christian Bergman, he's been around him, who is a major league pitcher now with the Colorado Rockies. As the Foresters pitching coach comes out and talks to Sloan on the mound after giving up 2 base runners and only 2 pitches here in the top of the fifth inning.
Should be a great conversation. This is the 15th anniversary for the Saints, so a lot of great baseballs happened during that time. So a lot of good stuff to cover.
So the umpire now goes out to the mound and breaks it up. Tells the coach the party's over. So nobody out here. Runners at second and third. Williams leading from third base. Gray leading from second. And now the man who had a leadoff double in the top of the second inning for the Saints, and Colin Shepard now steps up to the plate. So Shepard now at the plate. As I mentioned, a double in his first at-bat. Big moment for the Saints as the fastball is in there for a strike. 0-1 the count on Shepard. So the Saints lead, or excuse me, they are trailing the Foresters 3-0 here in the top of the fifth inning. The 0-1 pitch now to Shepard is a fastball in the outside corner, and that one misses, so 1-1 the count on Colin Shepard. Sloan gets set now. And the 1-1 pitch to Shepard is chopped down the first base line. Sloan picks it up, throws it over to first base, and he nails Shepard in the back. That's going to roll into right field all the way down the line. Cooper Williams scores from third base. Bryce Gray coming around to score. He's going to score, and Shepard now is standing at third base on the RBI, or the error by Sloan, in which he drilled Shepard running down the first base line.
Yeah, this looked like an easy out at first base. Just ends up hitting Shepard on the back, and just like that, couple runs score, and Shepard in the third.
So Colin Shepard had a single on that, but now he's standing at third on the throwing error by Caleb Sloan. 2 runs come across now for the Saints as they now trail the Foresters 3-2 in the top of the fifth inning. And now stepping up to the plate for the Saints is going to be the number 9 hole hitter in the center fielder, Christian Moya. So the Saints now are in prime position now to tie the ballgame up after the first pitch to Moya as a fastball up, so 1-0 the count on Moya. If you missed the first part of this inning, Cooper Williams was drilled in the hip on the first pitch of the inning. Bryce Gray in the second pitch of the inning nailed a double down the left field line, and Colin Shepard chopped one softly back to the pitcher as Moya skies this one out to right field. Coming in is the right fielder for the Foresters, and Luke Ritter throws it home as Colin Shepard does not test the arm of Ritter in right field. So 1 out here in the top of the fifth inning, and Shepard still standing at third base. But as I mentioned, Shepard ground one softly back to the pitcher. Sloan hit Shepard in the back and ricocheted into right field, allowing the both runs to score for the Saints. And Shepard, who advanced at third base. So now stepping up for the Saints is going to be the leadoff hitter, and Gabe Chavez, who fouled out to the first baseman in his last at-bat and struck out in his first at-bat for the Saints. So Sloan gets set. Now the first pitch to Chavez as he skies that one out to second base. The second baseman for the Foresters, Ryan Cash, cannot see it, and Ritter comes out from the outfield to make the place at second base. So that's a strange sighting there, as Ryan Cash could not find the ball at second base, and Luke Ritter comes all the way from right field and makes a catch on the dirt at second base.
Still dealing with that same trouble, just not being able to find the baseball, but nonetheless, runner stays at third.
So 2 poor at-bats from the Saints here in the top of the 5th inning as Moya flied out to shallow right field, and Chavez popped up to second base with runner at third and nobody out. So now 2 men out and a runner at third. And Drew Cali steps up to the plate. He swings and misses on that fastball. So 0-1 the count on Cali. So the Saints had a prime opportunity to tie the ball game up here in the top of the 5th. And 2 pop-ups later, they're on the verge of still be trailing by 1.
Really jumping on these early pitches here in the at-bats.
Sloan gets set now. The 0-1 pitch to Cali is a curveball on the outside corner, but it misses, so 1-1 the count on Drew Cali. Nonetheless, the Saints still push across 2 runs here in the top of the 5th inning to chip away at the Foresters' lead. Just a quick reminder, Aaron Milam will join us in the bottom half of the inning as Cali rips this one into right field, and he ties the ball game up. Scoring from third base is going to be Colin Shepard, as Cali now has his first hit of the ball game here and is 1 for 3 on the afternoon.
Good hit there for Cali. Really just dropped that one into right field, and well, we got a ball game here now. Saints back in this one.
So Cali ties the ball game up here in the top of the 5th inning as he lines a single into right field, which scores Colin Shepard from third base. And there it is, those 2 out RBIs that really are a momentum swinger if you are a ball club when you're able to get them. I don't know why the scoreboard right now says 4-3. There they go. They changed the scoreboard. So the scoreboard said 4-3. We were leading, which I wish was the case, but it is not the case. And now they change it back to the correct score, 3-3 here in the top of the 5th inning with 2 outs and a runner at first. So another meeting now by the pitching coach.
I don't know who told him about the score being wrong, but I don't know. I liked it better the way it was before.
The error on the scoreboard might be okay in my book. As Caleb Sloan's night is done. So Sloan, 4 2/3 innings on the night. We'll go ahead and have the K track for you. He had 7 Ks on the night. So Sloan started off hot for the Foresters. But ran into trouble here in the top of the 5th inning, and all of a sudden the ball game was tied up at 3-3.
Really hard to believe he'll be exiting the game with a tie ball game just with how great he started this one out. I mean, you talked about the 7 strikeouts. I mean, those were all, you know, in the first 8 at-bats, I believe.
Welcome to the mound, number 21, Isaac Coffey.
So now on the mound for the Foresters is going to be Isaac Coffey. He will replace Caleb Sloan, who, as we mentioned, his first 6 outs of the ball games all came by way of strikeout. Finished the night with 7 strikeouts, but surrendered 3 runs here on the throwing error he made on the ground ball by Colin Shepard.
And Isaac Coffey, who's coming in here to pitch now, we did see him in Pasadena last week. However, we did not see him on the mound. We saw him come in as a defensive replacement late in the game for the Foresters. I believe he played in the infield.
I believe you were talking about his brother, Luke Coffey.
Maybe right.
I remember looking at the roster, and Luke Coffey, which is the same last name as Isaac Coffey, they both play on this team, so easy to confuse the two there. Not too many two-way guys here in the CCL, but we do have one of our own in Jacob Jenkins, who is a two-way guy and who was the player of the game on Thursday night's victory over the Ventura County Buccaneers, as he went 3 for 3 with 3 RBIs and also came in and closed the game in the 9th inning pitching for the Saints.
Really doing it all for them.
Jacob Jenkins from Mid-America Nazarene. One of the better bright spots of that Saints roster. Both pitching and at the plate. So as you mentioned, Isaac Coffey now comes in to pitch for Caleb Sloan. Tied ball game here in the top of the 5th inning. 2 outs. And now stepping up to the plate now is going to be Tristan Peterson for the Arroyo Seco Saints. Drew Cali at first base on his RBI single to score Colin Shepard from third base. So we're just about ready for action here at Santa Barbara, the home of the Santa Barbara Community College baseball team. As Coffey gets set now. His first pitch is a fastball up and out inside, 1-0 the count on Peterson. As we mentioned, in the bottom half of this inning, we will be joined by Aaron Milam, the general manager of the Saints, who will talk about the program a little bit and tell us about how this program originated and where it's going to go. As the fastball is in there to a strike from Peterson now, 1-1 the count on Tristan Peterson. So Peterson in his last at-bat. And a ground ball to shortstop. As a curveball is fouled off Peterson's bat, so 1-2 remains the count on Tristan Peterson.
And it appears Isaac Coffey has actually done some games as a position player as well. Has appeared in 2 games this season, 600 batting average so far.
So he is a two-way player. I stand corrected. So Coffey gets set now. 1-2 count on Peterson. The 1-2 pitch is a fastball, and he fouls that one back as Cowley was heading for second base there on that pitch. He will go back to first base. 2 outs here in the top of the 5th inning. The ballgame is tied up at 3-3 here, as the Saints push across 3 runs here in the top half of the 5th to tie the ball game up. Crucial game for the Saints as they want to get back in contention of this CCL as far as the standings go, playing the number 1 team in the CCL. They are currently 3-6 in the CCL as the 1-2 pitch now is a fastball low and outside, so 2-2 now the count on Peterson.
And following a 2-game winning streak, no better test than to have to play the best team in the league on the road for a couple of days. The
Foresters will be back here tomorrow as the quick pick by Coffey, not in time to get Cali at first, so we'll do it again. As you mentioned, we'll be back here tomorrow. There will not be a live broadcast for that game, but the Saints will be back in action. You can follow that on Twitter, Instagram. They'll be live tweeting that ball game. As Peterson skies this one high in the infield, you can almost lose track of it here in the gray sky as the first baseman can't find it, but finds it at the last second and makes the play for the 3rd out. So that was the first baseman for the Foresters. And Utah Jones scampers over the mound to make the final out as the Saints leave 1 runner on base, but score 3 runs in the top half of the inning. We will head to the bottom half of the 5th inning here. 3-3 tie. You're listening to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network.
Sunrise Montessori School, the second baseman, number 5, Ryan Cash.
We pick things up here at Pershing Park in Santa Barbara, California. My name is Stephen Baltiero. Alongside me is the general manager for the Saints, Aaron Milam, who is the reason why this Arroyo Seco Saints team kind of existed, or exists right now to this point. Aaron, kind of talk to me about the origin of the Saints and how you guys kind of started this program up from the bottom.
Got it. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I am not solely responsible for this. Two of my childhood friends and I, we got together when we moved back to Pasadena from college, and we put this thing together. Originally, it was set up as a niche product. We tried to put together a team that would be incoming freshmen, all incoming college freshmen, graduating high school seniors, and we reached out about an hour travel distance to Pasadena, and we would try to schedule games against college teams for these incoming freshmen to kind of get ready. We'd take them on the road. We'd do the same, put them through the same thing that most colleges do, and more of like a college prep program. And we did that for many years. I actually coached the team, and my two co-founders are the guys you guys work for, Nick Gorman, Tommy Stafford. This is our hobby. We labored at this thing, and we actually used to coach the team and be in the dugout with the kids. And it was an interesting way that we got it. This originated as the Babe Ruth League of Pasadena, and it was a league ball deal. And they would go and play in the San Gabriel Valley League, and 18U kids and high school seniors. And the guy that used to run it was actually a guy that coached me in Little League. And when I got back, his son had a pretty life-threatening injury, and he decided that he was going to hang it up and asked me if I wanted to take it over. And the three of us were sitting in my backyard one day and said, "Hey, let's do this and let's figure it out." And that's essentially how it got started. It was a rough upcoming. We had tryouts the first year and tried to get guys in, and it took some time to get it started. But like anything with some resiliency, you sit there and every year you go back to the drawing board and you try to do what you can to improve year over year. I wouldn't be able to do this without these guys. It's definitely not a one-man show. This is a three-man show, and then even after that, we've got a lot of support from a lot of people who've jumped on board over the last 15 years.
As is a new pitcher now for the Saints, and Michael Gomez, he strikes out Ryan Cash there for the first out here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Saints and Foresters tied at 3-3. So you talk about the history of the program when you kind of joined it, but are you amazed to see how far it's come? So now looking at it right now, you have a broadcast, you have communications interns, you have coaches now coaching. You're not actually coaching yourself. You have a Division I college baseball players from all over the country now. So looking at it now, when did you realize that this is actually for real and this is something that can really take it to the next level?
I knew what this could become. I probably realized this in around 2012. We started this in 2004, and in 2007, 8, we had some really good teams. We were bringing in kids, even though they were incoming freshmen. We were bringing in kids from around long distances, 2-3 hour drives. And by the time we got to 12 and 13, we were getting the cream of the crop anywhere within 150 miles of the area. And part of the reason being is that it has never started as a money-making opportunity. This is a nonprofit, and what the kids put into this, it all goes into them, and none of us have ever taken anything for it. And because of that, we can really not worry about what the financial intake is, and we can really invest what we have in the players themselves. And I think that really is what made it grow. But we got to 2012 and 2013, and we were competing in some championships for some tournaments that we entered and some playoffs that we entered. And we had some kids that had played for us that came back who were in college saying, "Hey, this is what you guys did is better than the summer baseball that we've played. It's better. We've gone to X place in the Midwest and it was miserable. I wanted to come home. You guys should turn this over. Put it in the California Collegiate League, and it'll be better than where a lot of kids want to end up going in the Midwest." And so, I said we took our time doing it. We took our time taking a look and seeing what it is and what needs to happen. And we still did our deal with our graduated seniors and our incoming freshmen. And Still had a lot of really good players there and had a lot of really good experiences. But I would say probably around that era, the 2013 era. We had a player that I can actually name by name. He's with the Giants organization right now, and Nick and Tommy went to go see him play last night. His name is Brandon Van Horn, and Brandon came back after his freshman year. He was at Riverside City College, and he's the one that said, "Hey, you got to do this. You don't know what you guys have here. You got to do this." And so that's probably around the era that we decided to do it, and it took a number of years to get it going.
As Michael Gomez strikes out Logan Allen now for the second out here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Saints and Foresters still tied at 3 apiece. So, I mean, looking at it, you look at a lot of alumni you talk about, people that have come back, and now, back at Jackie Robinson Memorial Field, you see a lot of alumni from the Arroyo Seco Saints previous years come back and say what's up, they come and say hi to you guys. What does that mean to you? I mean, these guys coming back, they're playing with the Giants, playing in the major league ranks, different players that have kind of moved on and done different things with their career after the Saints. What does that mean to you to see that come back and show their appreciation to the Arroyo Seco Saints?
Sure. I mean, that's why we do this. I coach college baseball during the year. I'm the pitching coach at Occidental College in Los Angeles, and I often tell people, they say, hey, how is it different than high school baseball? And I keep saying I do it because I love the game, but I keep doing it year after year because I like the people that I'm doing it with. And for sure, this game, the game's always going to go on, but everybody that does this for a long time, they realize that it's about the network and it's about the relationships that you come across while you're doing this. It's an experience, right? You're out here with these guys and you're battling, and there's highs and there's lows, and like anything, just like anybody that's, you can even relate that to the military. They're going through boot camp and they're going to war together, and these guys they become brothers, and that's what you see in baseball year after year. You have a great season or a bad season, and so when you relate that to our alums, that's why we do this. We do it with the alumni. That once a Saint, always a Saint. And I've told many people that we had an alum last year from 2010 that I spent some time on the phone with. And hey, anything you need, man, you're part of the Saints family, and that's really true, because this is not a business. There's no bottom line that we need to make at the end of the day, and there's no number that we need to meet. And there's no Black Friday for us, right? And so that's all we really have to hang our hat on is what our alumni say of us, and them coming back and telling us about the experience they had here and what part it played in their life. I had a really good conversation with a kid that played for us in 2010 that ended up at USC. Preferred walk-on, played there 4 years, was drafted by the White Sox. We were talking about what we're doing, and he said, hey, I really want you to know, playing for the Saints in the summer really changed my life on the baseball end of it. It gave me confidence to go do this in college. I was going to walk on. Didn't know if it was going to happen or not. And it really changed my life and made a major impact to me. So, in the end of the day, and the fact that we're impacting kids going on and playing this game in college, and, student athletes that are trying to balance both school and work and baseball and whatever else they're doing, if we can play a small impact in their life, then we know we're successful.
And obviously you're a Pasadena native. You went to Loyola. You coached at St. Francis, so you're familiar with Jackie Robinson Field. Now you coach at Occidental College. I talked to even one of the workers for the Arroyo Seco Saints, and Andrew Gotti, and he says, Milan he really wants to take over Pasadena. Pasadena means so much to him. Is that really the case? Do you really care about Pasadena as a whole? You're part of, different group memberships, different groups and all that, different memberships as far as Pasadena goes. Like, does Pasadena mean that much to you? You want to just bring baseball in Pasadena kind of back to the forefront?
I was born and raised here. I actually didn't go to Loyola. I wish I did.
You coached at Loyola.
Yeah, it's a great school. Our head coach, Sean Bueller, is the head coach at Loyola High School right now. I think it's an excellent school. I'd love to see my own son go there. Nick, Tommy, and I went to LaSalle on the east side of Pasadena. I worked at St. Francis for 12 years. I was the head coach for the last 3 that I was there. The Pasadena area is a really special area. It's a big city, little city at the same time. We have some national scale events. What's going on right now this weekend is this Arroyo Seco Music and Arts Festival, and I mean, I had conversations with guys who are trying to find a room for our bus driver, and we can't find a room because all the hotels are sold out because they're all at this concert. And everyone knows what the Rose Bowl is, and everyone knows what the Rose Parade is. But there are a lot of things that go on in Pasadena that people don't know about. And, baseball here used to be a big deal. This is the home of Jackie Robinson. I can't tell you how many big leaguers have come out of the city and, how many big leaguers have come out of Pasadena Junior College. It definitely is important to me. And I've over the last, 3 years, I really think between what we're doing here with the summer collegiate baseball and what the new coach at Pasadena City College, Pat McGee, is doing, I see it coming back. I see a resurgence coming back, and I see a lot of popularity coming to baseball in Pasadena. In baseball side, it's a wonderful city to live in. Like I said, I grew up here. My wife is a transplant. We love it. This is where we're going to be the rest of our life, and so of course, I'm involved in the city. I'm one of the commissioners for the Recreation and Parks Commission. And I volunteer where I can with everything I can. My wife is a member of the Chamber of Commerce and the Women's City Club of Pasadena, and so we invest a lot of our life here, and and if not. There's people from different areas that have come here and lived here for 1 year to 1 month. There's people who've been here for 50 years, and you hear the same sentiment from them, is that Pasadena itself is one of those hidden gems of a city that the rest of the country really doesn't know what it's like to live in.
Well, Aaron, I appreciate you coming on the air right now for about an inning and a half after John Thomas flew out to left field, so the game's still tied here. So I guess my last question, real quick, to wrap it up, what do you see the Saints going in the future? I know you have to get out of here, but what do you see the Saints kind of going in the future? Well,
we're going to keep doing what we've been doing. Nick and I are engineers, and Tommy is a marketing director at a very successful school in the area, and we kind of use what we do in our daily life to really benchmark off what we're doing here in the summer. We're going to keep doing as we do, and I can't see it going anywhere but up. We've got a lot of things going for us, and we've got a lot of plans on the horizon. I can, kind of outline a couple of the small things that we've done over the last few years. This is not a cheap endeavor. It's a very expensive endeavor. This went from a small $9,000 operation when we first started this thing in 2004, and I can tell you that our expenses are well over $100,000 for 2 months worth of the summer right now, and so. Fundraising is a major issue for us, and we've got some stuff on the horizon to hopefully alleviate that. We purchased this new bus, as you and I are sitting here looking at it out there in left field. I know you rode it up here today, and we still got some stuff to do on it, but it's getting there. And that's going to alleviate some of our transportation costs. And this year we were able to get in with Occidental and the house they have for the baseball players, and that really helped us with the housing this year. So there's some movement. There's definitely some traction going forward. I have to give a lot of credit to a good friend of mine, Anthony Chevrier. He picked up this team and coached it the year that I slid into the general management role. And he was the head coach here the last 2 years. He had another child, and he had to take care of some work this summer, and so he wasn't able to do it. And Sean, who I've known for, probably 20 years, we used to be former teammates. He stepped in and did it this year, and I think he's doing a great job also. But, Anthony really helped us bridge this, and the staff we have this year is amazing. You're asking me the trajectory of the team and where it's going and where we're going with it. Again, it used to be me and some buddies that Michael O'Brien is a name that I want to put out there because he was a catalyst and helped this thing go for, the first 8 years. He volunteered and coached first base and coached our hitters, for free. He just did it for free as a volunteer effort to hang out with his buddies. And, he's since moved on and has a family and has moved away from the area. But you look at the staff that we have now. I mean, that's a very indicative of the trajectory. We have a 13th round draft pick that was a Team USA guy that closed the championship game of the College World Series as our pitching coach. So I mean, you can use that as any indication of the direction that the program's going. I'm very happy about it, and I think sky's the limit here. We have a lot of things to work within, but I think that we can go a long ways with it. Awesome. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. So we pick things up here in the back, top of the 6th inning now, with the runner at first base with 1 out. Game still tied here with the Arroyo Seco Saints and the Santa Barbara Foresters. As you just heard, Aaron Milam, the general manager of the Arroyo Seco Saints organization.
And as he mentioned him, Tom Stafford and Nick Gorman are all running this organization on a daily basis. We deal mostly, me and you, Anthony, we both deal with Tom Stafford and Nick Gorman on a daily basis. They are our supervisors, you might want to call it, giving us advice, and they work tirelessly all the time, all hours of the night. I know you know that. We both know they're getting in contact with us and giving us tips and advice through all hours of the night. So you see how much work goes behind the scenes of this Arroyo Seco Saints operation. So there's a new pitcher on the mound now for the Foresters as we head back to the game, which is still tied here in the top of the 6th inning as John Thomas flew out to left field in his first at-bat. Brendan McKenzie was walked, and he's now at first. And Cooper Williams is going to step up to the plate now for the Foresters. So Coffey's night is done as a new pitcher for the Foresters is going to be number 31 now. When we get his name, we will go ahead and let you know who that is. Give us 1 second now. Either way, the game is still tied here with the 3-3 tie after the Saints pushed across 3 runs in the top of the 5th inning. And as you just heard, Aaron Milan was on the broadcast with us talking about the Saints, how they started, how they've gotten here, and where they are going. So much more on your horizon, I guess you could say, for the Arroyo Seco Saints organization. I mean, like this whole setup, this broadcast that we are using right now at the moment. You know, the different Division I players they have across the country now joining this Arroyo Seco Saints team, and you just see how far it's come in the past few years, and it's amazing to see where they're probably going to go in the future.
Definitely. We got Elliot Anderson on the mound now for the Santa Barbara Foresters.
So you just got confirmation that Elliot Anderson is the new pitcher now for the Foresters.
Yep, left-handed pitcher out of Auburn. SEC country.
SEC, which is rich in football and both baseball this year, as Mississippi State right now is in contention right now for the College World Series title. So we're just about ready for baseball back here in the top of the 6th inning as Brendan McKenzie leads from first base with 1 out and Cooper Williams at the plate. Still a tied ball game. Cooper Williams was a hit by a pitch in his last at-bat. Was part of that big inning in the top of the 5th inning where the Saints scored 3 runs to tie the ball game up. As the first pitch now is grounded down the third base line, throws it on to second base, and throws it over to first for the double play. So if you're scoring that one, that is a 5-4 double play by Cooper Williams to end the inning. So we will head to the bottom of the 6th inning here at Pershing Park, where the Arroyo Seco Saints and the Santa Barbara Foresters are now tied at 3 apiece. You are listening to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network.
For the Foresters, sponsored by BMW of Santa Barbara, the right field.
Welcome back here to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network. As the new pitcher on the mound for the Saints is going to be Michael Gomez, who entered the game in the last inning, but we had Aaron Milam on, so wasn't able to formally announce that. So Milam struck out 3 batters in his last inning of work. And now the batter is Luke Ritter for the Foresters as the fastball is in there for a strike now, so 0-1 the count on Luke Ritter. Game is still tied at 3 apiece as Michael Gomez struck out Ryan Cash, Logan Allen, and Brandon Zaragoza in his last inning of work. Curveball is now outside to Ritter. So 1-1 count now on Luke Ritter. So Anthony, so far, this game a lot more competitive than the first 2 ball games that the Foresters and Saints played. As Ritter fouls that one out of play and into the stand. So 1-2 the count on Luke Ritter. What have you seen so far from the Saints as a team that's kind of kept them in this ball game?
Well, it's been a quality night for the Saints. I mean, we talked about last week how it was they were letting the Foresters do what they do, you know, get a lot of hits, hit all over the ballpark, and wreak havoc on the bases. And tonight, I mean, we've seen a little bit of that base stealing ability, but we haven't really had to deal with it quite as much because there haven't been base runners as often as we saw in that last game between them and the Foresters.
As Gomez struck out Ritter right there swinging on the curveball in the dirt for the first out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. That's going to go ahead and make way for John Jensen, the designated hitter for the Santa Barbara Foresters, as Michael Gomez has now struck out the first 4 batters that he has faced in this ballgame. So a lot of strikeouts so far through 6 innings in this ballgame. As that ball is lined to second base and Gabe Chavez, so Jansen is robbed of a hit as Chavez shaved over and catches that ball for the line out. So 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th inning, and now that makes way for Michael Newstifter, the catcher for the Foresters. So if you look at it so far, combined both teams, you're looking at over 15 strikeouts overall through 6 innings between the Foresters and Saints. The first pitch now to Newstifter is fouled down the right field line and almost in the Arroyo Seco Saints dugout. So 0-1 now the count on Newstifter.
Definitely one of the more solid pitching performances we've seen all around from the Saints. Talked about the one the other night where they ended up losing the game 0-2, but all around the pitchers had a really strong outing. This is one kind of like that, except that they're very much in this ball game. They scored a few runs and got this game all tied up.
The fastball's in there for a strike, so 0-2 now the count on Newstifter. So Michael Gomez has looked good so far through 1 2/3 of innings of work right now for the Saints. Game is still tied at 3 apiece in the bottom of the 6th inning as Newstifter digs in there and he skies that one over to right field. And shading over is the right fielder for the Saints, and Benny McKenzie for the final out here in the bottom of the 6th inning. So 3 up, 3 down for the Foresters in the bottom of the 6th inning. We will head to the top of the 6th inning here at Pershing Park in Santa Barbara, California. You're listening to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network. Welcome back to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network. My name is Steven Baltiera. Alongside me is my partner Anthony Alejandres, and we are on the call for the Arroyo Seco Saints versus the Santa Barbara Foresters, which are tied at 3 apiece as we head to the top of the 7th inning. And leading off for the Saints is going to be the catcher from Notre Dame, Bryce Gray. In between innings, we saw another child game, the hula hoop out here down the third base line. Another competition that the Santa Barbara Foresters put on, and I'm not going to lie, it's starting to get a little bit played out now at this point in the ball game.
A lot going on in between innings here at Pershing Park, a lot more than any other CCL ballpark, most likely. And for the record, we did not participate in the hula hoop competition. Our buddy Chris here thought about it, but said he didn't want to embarrass any of the kids.
As the fastball is low and inside, so 2-0 the count now here on Gray. They have their summer solstice festival going on today as well, as we found out earlier. Big thing here in Santa Barbara, California. A big parade they have on State Boulevard as the fastball is once again outside now. So 3-0 the count on Bryce Gray. And we saw the home plate umpire after that second ball look over to the Foresters dugout and kind of tell them to knock it off and stop jabbing from the dugout, I guess. So the 3-0 count now here is a fastball to Gray. So 3-1 the count on Bryce Gray as in pitcher now for the Foresters, Elliot Anderson, who came in relief in the last inning, is now 3-1 on Bryce Gray. So the 3-1 pitch now as Gray swings over that one, so now the count runs full on Gray with nobody out here in the top of the 7th. As we mentioned, a lot of different festivities going on here at Pershing Park with the Foresters. A lot of different activities they have to keep the fans engaged in the game. As the 3-2 pitch is a fastball in there for a strike. Looking, Gray goes down for the strikeout and the first out here in the top of the 7th inning.
Yeah, they're kind of giving their fans here the minor league baseball treatment, of kind of having a lot of interaction, a lot of stuff going on in between the innings. A lot of creative games go down in single A to triple A baseball.
As Colin Shepard now digs in for the Saints, as he chopped it back softly to the pitcher in his last at-bat and was drilled in the back as he bunts this one down the third base line, but a little too hard. As the ball is in the dirt, dug out by Utah Jones at first base for the first out here, the second out, in the top of the 7th inning. So a great play by Utah Jones at first base to dig that one out on the bump by Shepard. So 2 outs here in the top of the 7th inning. That's going to go ahead and make way for Christian Moya, the center fielder for the Saints.
Steven, have you ever been selected for a between-inning game at a ballpark?
I've never done that. So one time, I can remember one time, about 9 years old, my father and I went to an Angel game. It's kind of sad, and I never really go to much Angel games. I'm a Dodger fan, so we went after the game. They had a little, setup that you can run the bases at the home plate, and I did that once, and that was about the only activities I ever took place in as a child at a baseball game. As the fastball's in there for a strike now to Christian Moya.
I've never participated in one, but boy, do I have a story for you.
All right, go ahead and tell me, Anthony.
So this was actually just a few weeks ago. I was taking a buddy of mine to a San Jose Giants single-A game for his birthday, and we arrived at the ballpark a little late, and they're scrambling to get somebody in time for their first game, and they were going to do human bowling, where you get inside a giant inflatable ball, and you got to knock down a bunch of pins. And let me tell you, he fell down a bunch of times, but he made it just in enough time to knock down that last pin and win the game.
As Moya fouls this one down the first base line, and Utah Jones once again stumbles down the first base line, but stays with the fly ball for the final out here in the top of the 7th inning. We'll continue that story in the bottom of the 7th inning as nobody on, no hits, no runs. We're still tied at 3 apiece here as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning. You're listening to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network. Welcome back here to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network at Pershing Park in Santa Barbara, California, as the Arroyo Seco Saints and the Santa Barbara Foresters are tied at 3 apiece. We just got back from the 7th inning stretch. As now leading off for the Foresters is going to be the first baseman, Utah Jones. And Utah Jones, in his last at-bat, grounded to second base on the air by Gabe Chavez, so he lines this one over to center field, but Christian Moya is right there, and for the first out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. So a little bit of a gridlock here through 2 innings between the Saints and the Foresters. And now it's going to bring up Connor Davis, the left fielder for the Foresters.
Yeah, these teams just clicking off outs at this point now. These last couple innings really gone by in a blur.
As Connor Davis grounded out to shortstop in his last at-bat, but Drew Cowley muffed the ground ball, which allowed a run to score and Davis to be safe at first. So Michael Gomez looked pretty good so far for the Saints in relief, as the first pitch is a fastball in there for a strike, so 0-1 the count on Davis. And as we were mentioning your story about going to a minor league baseball game and your friend being used as a human bowling object.
Yeah. And
as Davis drills this one into center field, Moya goes back on it, and that's going to go ahead. One hop to the wall. Davis rounding first base, heading for second base, round second, but stays at second as the cutoff comes into Gabe Chavez with a 1-out double for Connor Davis. So Connor Davis drills this one into center field off the center field wall for a 1-out double. And now it's going to make way for the Foresters' number 8 hitter, Easton Morrell, who struck out in his first at-bat. Now in a big situation for the Foresters. But as you were talking about before the double by Davis.
yeah, really, I think I need to paint the picture for just how difficult of a scenario this was for my friend.
That's great. Lets that one get past him, and now Davis is 90 feet away from giving the Foresters once again the lead.
So it's summertime and it's California. We all know how that is at the ballpark. We go every day and we endure the heat. Well, being inside a giant bowling ball, I mean, in theory, he shouldn't have had to be in there that long, but they had it all planned out, and then it went terribly wrong. So the plan was, when they get 2 outs on the board, they're going to put him into the bowling ball, and they're going to air it up, and then they're going to, you know, trap him in there basically until it's time for him to go out. Well, after 2 outs, about 3 walks, a couple more base hits, a few runs score. So he's stuck in there for a long time before he actually gets to go out. They keep asking him, you good? You good? Then finally he says, all right, you guys got to let me out of here because it's just too warm right now. So they let him out for a minute. Then they get the last out, of course. So now he's got to scramble to get back in there. He gets out there on the field. They didn't tell him he was going to be timed until he got right out there, so he really had to hurry. Stumbled a bunch of times, fell down probably 3 times. Knocked them all down, though, in just enough time. Beat the buzzer. And won, can't remember what the prize was, but won it. He had the crowd on his side there. They were cheering for him after he fell that second time.
So another story about how baseball is a little bit of wacky in between shenanigans they have or before the game shenanigans. So
yep, go to a minor league ball game. You'll see all kinds of crazy stuff.
So we're back to action here as the first pitch from Gomez is swung and miss on. Swung and miss, so 0-1 the count on Easton Morrell. So Gomez now, the 0-1 pitch to Morrell as they change up low and inside. So 1-1 the count on Easton Morrell. So Connor Davis now leads from third base on the pass ball by Bryce Gray, after he doubled to center field with 1 out. So only 1 out still in the inning and 2 balls and 1 strike to Easton Gray. Game still tied at 3 apiece as the fastball's in there for a strike. So 2-2 now the count on Morrell. As we mentioned, we've been at a gridlock at a 3-3 tie for the past 2 innings here at Pershing Park in Santa Barbara, California, between the Foresters and the Saints. Connor Davis leads from third base. Easton Morrell at the plate, 2-2 count. And Gomez gets set. The 2-2 pitch is a fastball on the outside corner, looking strike 3. Easton Morrell for the second out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. So Michael Gomez with a big strikeout there. With 2 outs now, that's going to make way for the second baseman, Ryan Cash. who struck out in his last at-bat against Michael Gomez.
So far, with exception to that extra base hit there that was given up to Connor Davis, Michael Gomez has been phenomenal here so far.
Gomez bringing stability to this pitching staff in the later part of this ball game for the Saints. As the first pitch to Cash is a fastball outside for a ball. 1-0 the count on Ryan Cash. Connor Davis still leading from third base, 90 feet away from giving the Foresters the lead once again. Gomez trying to strand him there, so 1 ball, no strikes. The 1-0 pitch is grounded, lined out to shortstop, and then get past Kelly and into center field. Ryan Cash rounds first with a single, and scoring on the play is going to be Connor Davis to give the Foresters a lead once again.
Solid hit there, just right up the middle for a base hit. Enough to score that run there, give the Foresters their lead back.
So Ryan Cash singles into center field, scores Connor Davis to give the Foresters the 4-3 lead now in the bottom of the 7th inning. And now that makes way for the leadoff hitter for the Foresters and Logan Allen. So the 1-out double by Connor Davis pays dividends in this inning as they retake the lead. And the first pitch from Gomez to Allen is a fastball inside, ball 1, 1-0 the count. So Michael Gomez looked pretty good so far through this game, through 2 innings. But surrenders the 1-out double to Davis. Ryan Cash cashes him in. No pun, actually pun intended. Pun intended on that one as a fastball is in there for a strike. So 1-1 the count now here on Allen. As Ryan Cash singled into center field and scored Davis. Still a lot of ball game left. There's 2 more innings for the Saints to erase the deficit. As Gomez throws over to Cash at first base and he slides in safely, so 1 run remains the count on Logan Allen.
And this ball game really clicking along tonight. We talked about it a couple nights ago, one of the longer 9-inning ball games we had in Pasadena, and tonight, I mean, still a couple innings to go, but this one right now moving along pretty quickly.
As you mentioned, that game against the Ventura County Buccaneers went about 3.5 hours long. This one just about over 2 hours long, so looks to end swiftly, but we don't know. We said the same thing in the last ball game, and that came back to jinx us.
Yep, and this one's still a close ball game. A lot of changes can occur here.
As Logan Allen drills us to center field, that's going to drop and fall into right field, Brennan McKenzie comes up with it, so Logan Allen in there with the single, so runners at first and second with 2 men out. And now that makes way for Brandon Zaragoza.
You see there, 3 Saints coming in on that one defensively. Just kind of, ball just kind of dies in no man's land, a spot where nobody could get to in enough time there to record an out.
So runners at first and second now with 2 men out. And Michael Gomez in a little bit of a jam now, as the Santa Barbara Foresters lead the Arroyo Seco Saints 4-3 in the bottom of the 7th inning here at Pershing Park in Santa Barbara, California. And Zaragoza at the plate. Catcher Bryce Gay goes out to the mound to talk to Gomez and try to settle him down. As you mentioned earlier, Gomez was cruising through the better part of 2 innings before the 1-out double by Connor Davis. So 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Foresters lead the Saints 4-3. Brandon Zaragoza at the plate as he swings and misses over that slider. 0-1 the count now here on Zaragoza. Standing at first base is Logan Allen. Standing at second is Ryan Cash, who cashed in the 4th run of the ball game for the Foresters. Gomez gets set now. Steps off, looks over to Cash at second as he was dancing around out there.
Never be too careful with these Foresters base runners.
They have a little bit of ADHD on the base pass, as you might want to call it.
Yep.
Very hyper out there and moving around and getting pitches a little bit flustered. As Gomez gets set, looks over the 0-1 pitch now as there goes. There's a fastball in there, and it's fouled off the mitt of Bryce Gray. So 0-2 the count now here on Zaragoza. So the Foresters have already pushed across 1 run in this bottom of the 7th inning to retake the lead against the Saints. Saints have played a pretty good game so far as they have stayed competitive in this ball game. And not like the first two ball games they played at Jackie Robinson Memorial Field 2 weeks ago. Gomez gets set the 0-2 pitch down to Zaragoza as a fastball just misses inside, so 1-2 the count on Zaragoza.
And I think one of the real fortunate parts that's made this such a competitive game is that the Saints really haven't had to play catch-up at the same level that they were in those games in Pasadena. I mean, tonight they trailed by a few runs at a couple points in this ball game, but I mean, nothing really compares to what they were up against last week when they were, trailing by double digits in the first game and 5 or more runs in the second game. As
Gomez gets Zaragoza, they're swinging for the final out here in the bottom of the 7th inning, but 2 runners left on base, 1 run across on 3 hits, as we will head to the top of the 8th inning here. The Santa Barbara Foresters 4, the Arroyo Seco Saints 3. You're listening to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network. Welcome back here to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network. My name is Stephen Baltiera. Alongside me is my partner, Anthony Alejandrez, and we pick things up here in the top of the 8th inning. The Santa Barbara Foresters lead the Arroyo Seco Saints 4-3. Leadoff man Gabe Chavez is now up for the Saints. As the first pitch, he bunts it down the first base line, and the pitcher comes over, rolls it over to first base, and just in time gets Gabe Chavez at first. So Chavez tries to lead off with a bunt, but the pitcher, Elliot Anderson, picks it up and underhands it to the first baseman, Utah Jones, for the first out here in the top of the 8th inning.
Really never looked like he got a good hold of that baseball, just kind of enough to control where it was going to go, the direction it was going, and kind of just rolled that over to the first baseman there to get that out.
So 1 out here in the top of the 8th inning, going to make way now for Drew Calley, who had the RBI single in the top of the 5th inning to tie the ball game up at 3 apiece. Since then, the Foresters have scored another run in the bottom of the 7th inning to retake the lead. So Cali now 1 for 3 on the night. It's the first pitch of fastball in there for a strike. So 0-1 the count now here on Drew Cali. Cali from Upland, California. Teammates with Brendan McKenzie, who's batting a few spots down from him in this order. The fastball is just inside now, so 1-1 the count on Cali. Elliot Anderson looked pretty good so far in relief for the Foresters. Starting pitcher Caleb Sloan had a pretty good outing, striking out 7 batters, but gave up 3 runs in the top of the 5th inning as Cali fouls that one down the left field line and out of play, so 1-2 remains the count. As I mentioned, Sloan struck out 7 batters in his start, but allowed 3 runs that tied the ballgame up, and that was his exit for the night.
Yeah, it looked a lot different from the first couple innings to the last couple of innings he was in this ball game. A lot of strikeouts in the first couple, and then a lot of base hits given up in those last 2 innings that he was in the ball game.
as the fastball is just outside. So 2-2 now the count on Drew Cowley. After Cowley will be Tristan Peterson, the number 3 hole hitter, and after him will be John Thomas, the designated hitter from USC. Curveball just misses outside, so a full count now as Cowley runs the count full with 1 out here in the top of the 8th inning. Saints trail the Foresters 4-3. Saints trying to make it 3 straight in the game as Cowley calls time. After beating the Conejo Oaks on Wednesday and beating the Ventura County Buccaneers on Thursday, they will try to go for their 3rd straight win tonight against the undefeated Santa Barbara Foresters here, who are 10-0 in the CCL. Full count pitch to Cowley is a fastball, and it just misses for a 1-out walk now. So Cowley at first base with 1 out, going to make room now for Tristan Peterson, the left fielder for the Saints.
Left fielder, number 8, Tristan Peterson.
So Peterson now is going to dig in for the Saints, as the Saints try to retake the lead or tie the ball game up here with only 2 at-bats left in this ball game. Nightfall starting to make its way here at Pershing Park as the gray skies start to turn to darkness. As Peterson swings over that fastball, now 0-1 the count on Tristan Peterson.
Kind of tells you how fast this ball game's been moving along. That we're in the 8th inning, and it's not. We're not under complete darkness yet.
Surprisingly, not that cold either, Anthony.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be freezing by now, but it's not. As the fastball is in there for a strike from Anderson for 0-2 count now here on Peterson. So Elliot Anderson has looked so good so far for the Foresters. The left-hander out of Auburn University. He looks over to Cowley at first base. The 0-2 pitch to Peterson is a fastball inside, just misses, so 1-2 the count on Tristan Peterson. We had General Manager Aaron Milam on the broadcast earlier in the bottom of the 5th inning and the top of the 6th inning. Talked about the Arroyo Seco Saints program. That's the 1-2 pitch now. Strike 3 looking is Peterson for the 2nd out here in the top of the 8th inning.
Let's go, Auburn.
So Elliot Anderson strikes out Peterson for the 2nd out.
One more batter.
And now that brings up the best hitter for the Saints so far this season in John Thomas. Thomas so far in this ball game though is 0 for 3, so he's looking to get in the hit column against the Foresters and Anderson. So John Thomas now digs in. The big lefty from USC.
Yes, sir.
Takes a changeup in the dirt now, so 1-0 the count on Thomas. Drew Cowley still at first base for the Saints on the 1-out walk.
Yeah, John Thomas, he's done a great job in the cleanup spot. But when you look at his stats, you got to think he also kind of has the look of a guy who would make a good leadoff hitter. You know, he's an on-base machine, gets a lot of singles.
As the fastball just misses outside now, so 2-0 the count on John Thomas. As you mentioned, Thomas, 14 of his 16 hits come by the way of a single. So not too much power has been displayed by the left-handed hitter from USC. Nonetheless, still batting .485 on the season for the Saints. Anderson gets set now. The fastball is in there for a strike, so 2-1 the count now on John Thomas. Saints still trail the Foresters 4-3 in the top of the 8th inning. Drew Cowley at first base. 2 outs in the inning, a 2-1 count now here to John Thomas. Elliot Anderson gets set now. The 2-1 pitch as Cowley takes off is fouled back by Thomas, so Cowley will jog back to first base on that one. So a 2-2 count now here on John Thomas. 2 outs, deuces wild, 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Top of the 8th inning, Foresters lead the Saints 4-3. Elliot Anderson on the mound for the Foresters. John Thomas at the plate. SEC versus Pac-12. Looks over to Cowley at first. The 2-2 pitch is a curveball outside. So a full count on John Thomas. Saints looking to keep this inning alive. Forester defense trying to get back in the dugout. Anderson gets set. The full count pitches. Callie takes off as a fastball up and outside. So Thomas draws the walk here with 2 outs in the top of the 8th inning. Going to make way now for Brennan McKenzie, the right fielder from Cal Poly Pomona.
Right fielder
So Elliot Anderson now
Brennan McKenzie.
has given up 2 walks in this inning. Going to bring up the big right-handed hitter from Cal Poly Pomona. We have seen the power from McKenzie so far in BP. Has hit a couple balls to the wall at Jackie Robinson Memorial Field. Has been robbed of a few hits, as we saw on Thursday night's game versus the Buccaneers. So McKenzie now steps into the plate. 2 outs here, top of the 8th inning. 4-3, Saints trail the Foresters. As Anderson steps off now, and the catcher for the Foresters and Michael Newstifter will talk to Anderson once again. Nightfall has officially made its way here in Santa Barbara, California. This game is just about almost 2.5 hours long now.
Forester fans, be on the lookout for the 50-50 raffle making its way.
As you mentioned earlier, much faster than Thursday night's ball game against the Buccaneers at Brookside Park. Nonetheless, still intense and a close game here between the Foresters and Saints.
Yeah, 2 nights ago, that ball game was really clicking along through the first 5 innings, and then those last 4 innings of the game were where it really slowed down and ended up being a lot longer of a game than we expected.
Home plate umpire now comes to the mound and tells the coach, let's split up this party again, and let's get back to baseball. So everybody breaks off now, and we'll get back to action just momentarily as Brennan McKenzie now steps up to the plate. McKenzie walked in his last at-bat, so with the runner in scoring position, big moment in the ball game for the Saints as they're looking to tie the ball game and possibly take the lead with the go-ahead run at first base. And John Thomas. Anderson gets set, looks to Callie at second. The first pitch to McKenzie is a fastball inside for a ball, so 1-0 the count on Brendan McKenzie. Brendan McKenzie so far in this game 0 for 2 with a walk. As Anderson looks over to second, the fastball now is in there for a strike, so 1-1 the count on Brendan McKenzie. The Arroyo Seco Saints looking for their 3rd straight win, are 3-6 in CCL play. The first place Santa Barbara Foresters are 10-0 in CCL play. As the 1-1 pitch now to McKenzie as a curveball cracks his bat over to third base. Third baseman for the Foresters, Easton Morrell, will tag the base for the final out here in the top of the 8th inning. We will head to the bottom of the 8th inning. The Foresters still lead the Arroyo Seco Saints 4-3. You're listening to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network.
To visit our delicious taco truck at the South.
Welcome back here to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network. My name is Steven Baltiera. Alongside me is my partner, Anthony Alejandrez. We hit at the bottom of the 8th inning now. Foresters lead the Arroyo Seco Saints 4-3. New pitcher on the mound for the Saints, and Reed Osborne from Howard College. He made an appearance against the Conejo Oaks on Wednesday night. Came in relief. Pitched an inning for the Saints, as he is now on the mound for the Saints here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And the fastball in there for a strike now. So 0-1 the count.
2.25 ERA thus far through 8 innings of work on the season.
As Osborne gets set now, the 0-1 pitch as he nails Luke Ritter in the back of the shoulder blades for the leadoff hit by pitch now. So the Foresters have a runner at first base in the bottom of the 8th inning on the hit by pitch by Osborne. Luke Ritter looks to be okay now, and that's going to make way for John Jensen, the cleanup hitter for the Foresters. I was at that game on Wednesday night, and Reed Osborne was touching low 90s in that game, so a lot of velocity from Osborne. And out of the bullpen for the Saints. Osborne gets set now. Looks over to Ritter. The first pitch to Jensen is skied out to shallow left field, as it can't be caught by Cowley as he loses track of it in shallow left field. And it's going to drop harmlessly for a hit for John Jensen.
Well, I was making the point earlier about the gray skies kind of getting in the way of things, but now with the sun, or not the sun, but with, darkness kind of coming in here, I thought they'd have a little bit of an easier time locating the baseball, but you could see there he had no idea where that ball was going to land at.
So, as you mentioned, the gray skies were giving trouble, but now it's the dark skies that are giving trouble to the Saints defense. As that's Cowley's, you wouldn't call it an error, but his second mishap on the defensive side of things. It's going to make way now for Michael Newstifter, the catcher for the Foresters, with runners at first and second now, and nobody out in the bottom of the 8th inning. You'll look to see if Newstifter squares around a bunt here to move the runners over. As he doesn't, the first pitch is a fastball low, as Ritter thought about taking off for third, but reluctantly stayed to second. 1-0 count now here on Newstifter. Foresters lead the Saints 4-3, bottom of the 8th inning. Are 10-0 so far in CCL play. The Arroyo Seco Saints are 3-6 in CCL play. Osborne gets set now. Looks over to Ritter at second. The 1-0 pitch, and foul down the right field line. So a 1-1 count now here on Newstifter. As I look at the skies now and I look at that foul ball, I can see the troubles that Cowley was having at shortstop. I mean, about 10 feet in the air, I lost track of it, didn't really know where it went after that.
Yeah, it's kind of been getting all of us tonight, especially the players on the field, but for us, I know we've lost a few of them here in the middle of play.
So the 1-1 pitch now from Osborne as Ritter takes off at third, is fouled off once again down the right field line, so 1-2 count on Newstifter, as both runners were taken off on that pitch on the double steal. So Osborne gets set now. A 1-2 count on Newstifter. Runners at first and second base in the bottom of the 8th inning. Foresters lead the Saints 4-3 as the curveball is outside for a ball. So 2-2 now the count on Michael Newstifter. Newstifter hit a double in his second at-bat, which got the scoring affair going for the Foresters. Down the left field line. So a 2-2 count now on Newstifter. Osborne gets set. Looks over to Ritter at second. Steps off now and fakes over to Ritter at second. So trying to keep these Forester base runners close to the bag. As we mentioned earlier, they have a lot of happy feet out there on the base pass as they're trying to be aggressive and get that edge.
10 stolen bases in their first meeting this season.
Incredible. As the 2-2 pitch is double steal once again, and New Stifter once again fouls that one back. So the second time in this at-bat we've seen the double steal by Ritter and Jansen. Yeah, both pitches were fouled off, so you can see the aggressiveness so far by these Foresters base runners in the bottom of the 8th inning. Bottom of the 8th inning here. 4-3 lead for the Foresters as the count remains 2-2 on New Stifter. Reed Osborne gets set. Looks over to Ritter at second. Looks over once again. Big lead for Ritter. The 2-2 pitch now to New Stifter is a curveball, and it just misses outside now, so a full count on Michael New Stifter. So New Stifter battling in this at-bat. Reed Osborne trying to get the first out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Reed Osborne gets set. Looks over to Ritter at second. Long pause. Here's a full count pitch as New Stifter skies that one into right field. And I've already lost track of it again. Brendan McKenzie somehow sees it as Ritter tags up from second base, and the throw is not in time. So there's one out here in the bottom of the 8th inning, but Luke Ritter tags up from second base and moves over to third base. Runners at the corners now, one out, and that brings up Utah Jones, the first baseman for the Foresters.
The first baseman, number 2, Utah Jones.
So heads up base running by Luke Ritter as he tags up on that fly ball to right field by New Stifter. And these guys are really starting to play some trouble for this Saints defense. So Utah Jones in his last at-bat, or excuse me, this second at-bat, was the one who hit that soft liner to Gabe Chavez at second. Chavez was unable to corral it, but threw out the runner at home. Was the first pitch from Reed Osborne. It's a fastball outside and misses, so 1-0 the count on Utah Jones.
Yeah, made up for a tough defensive play with a great defensive play, throwing that one to Bryce Gray in time to save a run from scoring.
So runners at the corners now for the Foresters. Utah Jones at the plate. A 1-0 count on him with one out in the bottom of the 8th inning. Foresters have a 4-3 lead as Osborne steps off and looks over to the runner at first. The pace of play has significantly slowed down since the 6th inning we were talking about as we jinx ourselves probably once again. A slap down the left field line and foul though. So a 1-1 count now here on Utah Jones. Reed Osborne in a little bit of a jam right now, trying to wiggle his way out of this. The Saints can ill afford to give up any more runs heading into the 9th inning for their last at-bats. Santa Barbara Foresters trying to go to 11-0. Saints looking for their 3rd straight win. Osborne gets set now. Steps off once again and looks over to Jensen at first base. So once again, these Forester base runners are getting in the head of Saints pitchers. Reed Osborne once again looks over to Jensen at first, gets set. The long pause, and it's a fastball outside and misses the Utah Jones. So 2-1 the count on Jones as Jensen was faking a steal there from first base. So John Jensen playing mind games over there at first base on Reed Osborne. As the count now runs to 2-1 on Utah Jones at the plate. Forester lead the Saints 4-3. Bottom of the 8th inning, the 2-1 pitch swung and missed by Utah Jones, so the count now is 2-2 on Jones.
Protect the plate now, protect the plate.
So one out only in the bottom of the 8th inning. Foresters lead the Saints 4-3. Runners at the corners, a 2-2 count on Utah Jones. Reed Osborne from Howard College on the mound for the Saints. He gets set. The 2-2 pitch now is a fastball outside as Gray thinks about throwing over to third base but doesn't.
Saints back here tomorrow for a fourth matchup with the Santa Barbara Foresters.
When we head to the top of the ninth inning, the Saints will have Cooper Williams, Bryce Gray, and Colin Shepard due up for them. As Jensen takes off, it's lined to center field to Christian Moya. That's going to drop in as Jensen now heads to third base and is thrown out. Safe at third base as the Saints defense does not like the call as the Foresters scored their fifth run of the ball game in the bottom of the eighth inning. So,
from where we're sitting, looked like the tag was made.
So Utah Jones singled into center field though. And head coach Sean Buell is going to head out to the third base umpire and talk to him about that play. He does not like that call. But he won't argue for long because he will head back. So Christian Moya, nice throw to third base, but wasn't in time to get Jensen at third. Utah Jones with an RBI single. And now the score is 5-3. The Foresters lead the Saints in the bottom of the eighth inning. Only one out. Runners at the quarters once again.
And you said it. Can ill afford to give up any runs at this point in the game. Going into the ninth inning now. Going to be trailing by at least 2 runs at this point.
Scoring on the play was Michael Newstifter.
Hey, let's go, Connor.
Luke Ritter is scoring on the play. As Reed Osborne's night is done, and we will get a new pitcher now for the Saints. So Reed Osborne only gets 1 out here in the bottom of the eighth inning. And the Saints now have a 2-run deficit heading into the top of the ninth inning with only 1 out here in the bottom of the eighth inning. So looking at the batters up for the Saints in the next inning, what are you seeing so far from this team, Anthony, and how can they kind of get back in this game with only 1 at-bat left?
Well, definitely would have liked to be going into the ninth inning only trailing by that 1 run, but now the Saints are going to have to go to work. They are going to have to push across a couple runs to stay in this one. But, one of the things we've seen with this team is they score a lot of their runs late innings for some reason. And so hopefully that's a trend that can continue here tonight to get them back into this ball game.
And now on the mound for the Saints is the hero from Wednesday night's game, and Joey Steele. Steele came in the eighth inning with runners at second and third, only 1 out against the Caneo Oaks. The Saints had a 4-3 lead over the Oaks, but Steele came in and was able to preserve the lead and hold on to that win for their first win in 6 games for the Saints. He will come into this game now with runners at first and third, only 1 out in the bottom of the eighth inning. So once again, he is putting a jam, and his head coach Sean Beal is looking to hit for him to once again wiggle out of it. So the new pitcher now for the Saints, Joey Steele from the University of San Francisco.
Joey Steele, a 2.46 ERA so far this season. He's worked 7 1/3 innings thus far.
And I was able to talk to him on Thursday night about, what he expects out of himself in this CCL season and what he expects to do when he goes back to the University of San Francisco. And his biggest thing was, I want to close. I want to be a closer for this University of San Francisco team. He actually said it'll be anything that the team asked him to do. But, head coach Sean Bueller and Steele himself are saying that closer looks like the best role for him, and that fits his personality and the way he pitches. So Steele almost about ready on the mound to get this thing going. Runners at the corners now with only 1 out in the bottom of the eighth inning. The Santa Barbara Foresters now lead the Arroyo Seco Saints 5-3. And now stepping up to the plate for the Foresters is going to be Connor Davis, the left fielder for the Foresters. So Joey Steele in a big spot for the Saints here in the bottom of the eighth inning. The Saints can ill afford to let this game slip away from them if they want to have any chance in the top of the ninth inning. Steele once again in a big spot, steps off, regathers himself as the Home plate umpire Bryce Gray, excuse me, the home plate catcher, Bryce Gray will step out and talk to Steele at the mound. So after Utah Jones' single up the middle, which scored Luke Ritter from third base, and allowed Utah Jones, or excuse me, John Jensen to move over to third base on the base hit. Now gives the Foresters a 5-3 lead here in the bottom of the 8th inning. So the meeting's over with now. Just about ready for action as Joey Steele gets the sign. He gets set now. And his first pitch now. As Utah Jones takes off. Now ball gets past Bryce Gray. Coming home is John Jensen for the 6th run of the ball game for the Foresters. And the Foresters now have a 6-3 lead over the Arroyo Seco Saints.
And with how tough of an out these Foresters hitters are, can't afford to be giving them runs at this point in the ball game.
That is the 4th pass ball in the game for Bryce Gray. That one being the biggest one, allowing another Foresters run to score. So the Foresters now have a 6-3 lead over the Saints. Bottom of the 8th inning, runner at second base. And Utah Jones, 1 out. Joey Steele gets set. The 1-0 pitch now is lined up the middle by Gabe. Gabe Chavez catches that one on the run, tags second base for the double play. So the double play escapes the inning, but not before the Foresters put across 2 more runs. On 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 runner left on base. We will head to the top of the 9th inning in the last at-bats for the Arroyo Seco Saints. The Santa Barbara Foresters lead the Saints 6-3. You're listening to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network. We pick things up here in the top of the 9th inning, the last at-bats for the Arroyo Seco Saints. My name is Steven Baltiera. Alongside me is my partner, Anthony Alejandrez. And stepping up to the plate now for the Saints is going to be first baseman Cooper Williams from New Mexico State University. New pitcher on the mound for the Santa Barbara Foresters is Chase Wallace. He will look to close out the victory for the Foresters as the first pitch is a fastball up and outside, so 1-0 the count on Williams. The Foresters are looking to go 11-0 in CCL play after scoring 2 runs in the bottom half of the 8th inning. As Williams swings and misses over that fastball, 1-1 the count on Cooper Williams.
This one by far the most competitive of the ball games these two have played against each other. A lot more scrappy of a game, you know, exchanging the lead on a couple of occasions. And the Saints really done a good job in the first part of this game and just faced, some struggles here in the late innings. A call that didn't go their way there that they felt pretty strongly about, but nonetheless, a much more competitive game.
As the 1-2 pitch now is a fastball outside now, so 2-2 count on Cooper Williams. If the Saints are unable to come back in this ball game, they will fall to 3-7 in CCL play. The Foresters will move on to 11-0 in first place in the CCL. As Williams drives that one into deep center field, shading back to the left center field, and that ball is caught at the warning track and at the wall for the first out here in the top of the 9th inning. So Williams gives it a ride, but runs out of steam for the first out. And now it's going to bring up the number 7 hole hitter and Bryce Gray, the catcher from Notre Dame.
Long way to run there for the center fielder, Logan Allen, but makes the play there, and a much-needed hit there that would have been for the Arroyo Seco Saints.
So Bryce Gray now steps into the play for the Saints as he swings and misses over that fastball for the first strike. 0-1 the count on Bryce Gray. Gray with that crucial pass ball in the bottom of the 8th inning allowed the 5th run of the ball game to score, or the 6th run of the ball game to score for the Foresters. As the fastball is up there, so 1-1 the count now here on Bryce Gray. The Saints will be back at it tomorrow here. The game will not be broadcasted on our live YouTube channel as Gray grounds that one over to second base. Caught and easily thrown over to first base by Ryan Cash for the second out here in the top of the 9th inning. So the Saints are down to their final out of the inning. And their last hope is Colin Shepard, who had a double in his first at-bat. And as I mentioned, that tomorrow's game against the Foresters here at Pershing Park will not be broadcasted, but you can follow it live on Twitter at Arroyo Seco _base on Twitter, and on Instagram at Arroyo Seco Baseball. The first pitch is a fastball outside, so 1-0 the count on Colin Shepard. Saints down to their final out. This game was tied for 3-3 for the majority of it, until the Foresters broke it open in the 7th and 8th inning, with one run in the 7th and 2 runs in the 8th. Second pitch to Shepard is a fastball in there for a strike. So 1-1 the count now here on Colin Shepard. Chase Wallace trying to close it out for the Foresters. The 1-1 pitch now is a fastball inside and just misses. So 2-1 the count on Colin Shepard. If you're the Saints on this game, you have to think that this one kind of got away from you. You had a chance to win it, but a couple of mishaps have led to, as the umpire and a little bit of fans are chattering here late in this ball game. Back and forth. The 2-1 pitch now is a fastball on the outside corner. 3-1 the count now here on Colin Shepard. A little bit of fun here. A lot of fun here at Pershing Park in between innings with the kids running around, the pie eating contest, the hula hoop contest. As Shepard now has walked on 5 pitches for a 2-out walk, and now it's going to make way for Christian Moya, the center fielder from USC.
We talked about it earlier in the game, Colin Shepard being a guy who sometimes we see him at the very top of the order, sometimes we see him at the very bottom. I feel like when he's at the bottom of the order, it does give them a lot of flexibility in these games because you don't always see a batter as smart as Colin Shepard batting at the bottom of the order, a guy who, takes his walks, comes up with some timely base hits and is a good base runner.
As the first pitch to Moya is a fastball on the inside corner. 0-1 the count now here on Christian Moya. Moya from USC. His teammate, John Thomas, also from USC. As Wallace gets set, now the 0-1 pitch is a fastball in there for a strike once again. So now the Saints are down to their final strike of the ball game, and on the verge of falling to 4-9 overall and 3-7 in CCL play. The Foresters are on the verge of going to 11-0 in CCL play and undefeated on the season. The 0-2 pitch now to Moya. Fastball up and inside, so a ball. 1-2 the count on Moya. Colin Shepard at first base on the walk. 2 outs, top of the 9th inning. The Foresters lead the Saints 6-3. The 1-2 pitch now from Wallace. The curveball. Moya swings and misses over that one for the final out here in the top of the 8th inning. And the Arroyo Seco Saints move on to 4-9 in this season and 3-7 overall in CCL. The Santa Barbara Foresters now are 11-0 in CCL play, and they just keep strolling along in the CCL season.
Absolutely, and I mean today for the Saints, I mean they got their scoring opportunities. They capitalized on those early in the game, but just a tale of missed opportunities at the end. You know, not able to make some plays defensively that kind of cost them here, and keeping this a closer game than it was.
The big two crucial errors from Cowley at shortstop play dividends in this ball game, as the Saints fall to the Santa Barbara Foresters 6-3 in 9 innings. We'll be back here tomorrow afternoon for the Foresters and the Arroyo Seco Saints. You're listening to the Arroyo Seco Saints Broadcast Network. For Stephen Baltier, my partner Anthony Alejandrez, we wish you all a good night.